Chapter 1570. The fallen leaf searches for its roots. Standing on the stairs, Wang Lin looked down on planet Suzaku below him. This planet had become unfamiliar. The mountains and rivers had changed. It no longer looked like it did in the past. The ground was covered in grass, and as the wind blew, a fragrance filled the air. Interesting, this place looks fun. Look at the mountain there, haha. It's not very good. It's too rough, the mudmen this king makes are better. The madman clapped his hands and laughed. The four people originally had serious expressions as they bowed at the stone statue before them. After hearing the madman's words, the three disciples all looked back with fierce stares and disdain in their eyes. This mountain was connected to the stairs. This mountain was the highest mountain on planet Suzaku, and a powerful spell had been used to shape it into a large statue. It was a cultivator with his left hand forming a seal and his right hand holding a giant axe looking at the sky. The invisible pressure it gave off made it feel like this person was going to fight the heavens. The staircase was connected to the bottom of the statue. As a result, all the cultivators that came to planet Suzaku would immediately see this statue. As they descend, due to the difference in height, the pressure from the statue would become even stronger. It would be as if they were worshipping the statue as they descended. This was a statue of Wang Lin. This was Wang Lin during the first battle at the Cloud Sea. However, the face of this statue was blurry, which made it impossible for others to get a good look. This is a statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm in the first battle of the Cloud Sea. It was right after he killed the Fire Sparrow clan ancestor and esteemed Nan Zhao. He stood before the Outer Realm army of tens of thousands of cultivators, and none of them dared to take half a step forward. The old man's words echoed, causing his three disciples to turn around and pay their respects. After the first battle, the name of the Lord of the Sealed Realm became famous in the Inner Realm, and people found out that he came from planet Suzaku. The cultivators of the Inner Realm gathered, and under the lead of several powerful seniors and the Lord of planet Suzaku, Zhou Wutai, the highest mountain was made into a statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The old man's voice echoed. Wang Lin silently looked at the statue and gently shook his head, letting out a sigh. He vaguely remembered that this mountain belonged to the country of Suzaku and was its holy land. However, now it had been changed. This was not the change Wang Lin wanted to see. He stepped forward and took the madman away. It wasn't until they disappeared that one of the men among the three disciples sneered. Such a vulgar person is not fit to come to the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown. The two disciples beside him nodded and glared at where Wang Lin and the madman went toward. The two of them are so rude and will surely be punished. I can wait to see their sorry state when they are forced off the planet. Wang Lin slowly walked through the sky and looked at the earth below. The earth felt even more unfamiliar, which made him even more lonely. Everything other than his heart had changed. However, these changes just made him even more lonely and out of place. Too much has changed, there is no feeling of home. Wang Lin silently pondered and tried very hard to find a trace of familiarity. However, when he looked at the earth, he still couldn't see it. Many of the cultivation countries on planet Suzaku had changed, and now planet Suzaku was just one country. Even the large amount of sects were gone and became the 9 great sects of planet Suzaku. These 9 great sects occupied most of planet Suzaku. As Wang Lin moved forward, he saw the soul refining sect. The memory of Dutian was still there, but the soul refining sect was not the same. The mountain had disappeared and turned into a lake. There were many pavilions around the lake, giving off waves of spiritual energy, but it was another sect. Situnan had awakened here. Those domineering words still echoed in Wang Lin's ears, but he couldn't find any familiar aura. The giant demon clan of the past appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and it had also changed. The area where the giant demon clan was located was now a prairie. There were many nomadic mortals on his prairie, dressed in simple clothes or topless. They walked among a flock of sheep while singing cheerful songs. There were a few dogs among the flock of sheep that barked excitedly. The barking mixed with the singing and didn't seem out of place. Instead, it gave the song a leisure feeling. This place also changed. Wang Lin felt melancholy and slowly moved forward. The madman followed Wang Lin and was silent. He could feel the loneliness from Wang Lin, and he also felt homesick. After a long time, the country of Shuiyu appeared before Wang Lin. The snow-covered land was no longer there. That snow had melted a long time ago. This place had become a dense jungle and no longer looked anything like it did in the past. Even the cities had been turned into ruins by the jungle. What was also buried was that special mortal city that chronicled nearly 100 years of Wang Lin's life. A mortal child named Sang Yu had grown up there. Looking at the jungle below, Wang Lin's heart felt terrible. It was an indescribable feeling. He vaguely felt like this was no longer his home. He couldn't find any familiarity on planet Suzaku. Without that sense of familiarity, he only had memories. It was like a traveler that had left for a long time and finally returned home only to find that everything had changed. It was unfamiliar to the point that it made him want to cry. It was unfamiliar to the point that it made him sad. It was unfamiliar to the point that he couldn't find his way home. Wang Lin had returned to planet Suzaku before and had seen changes, but they weren't as drastic as now. He couldn't adapt at all. He didn't dare to spread out his divine sense to see the entire planet at once, to see the country of Zhao and his parents' tomb. He was afraid that he would continue to see unfamiliarity, leaving him with only memories but no home. He was also equally afraid to look at the cave in the Sea of Devils where he had lived with Li Muwan. He was afraid to look for that heartwarming valley. He was afraid that those were gone as well. Looking at the jungle below, Wang Lin silently walked in as if he was looking for something. Eventually, he removed the leaves before him and saw the ruins of a city. A few small beasts were moving between the ruined buildings inside the city. When Wang Lin arrived, the small beasts were frightened and all scattered. Wang Lin walked within the ruins of the city and looked for something. He faintly felt a hint of familiarity and almost grasped that sense of familiarity. However, a moment later, that sense of familiarity faded as he looked at a giant hole before him. It was this hole that buried his sense of familiarity and the street he used to live on. After being startled there for a long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and left. He went to the Sea of Devils. The entire Sea of Devils was no longer there. Back then, although the fog had dissipated, the giant basin remained. Now someone had filled the basin, and it was one of the 9 great sects. The cave he lived in with Li Muwan was naturally gone. Wang Lin looked at it from the sky, and he felt his heart sting. He wanted to look at the cave, to look at the body of the huge dragon, to look at the place where Li Muwan put her heart and soul into making that jade. He sadly turned around. Unconsciously, Wang Lin arrived in the valley where he accompanied Li Muwan until she grew old and where he felt warmth. That was also where Zhou Ru had grown up. However, even this place had been flattened and turned into an inner sea. It was beautiful, but it was just painful for Wang Lin. This place is also gone. The various changes on planet Suzaku made it much more beautiful, but it was only on the surface. This was not the planet Suzaku that Wang Lin wanted. Others only knew that this was the hometown of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, and wanted to transform this place into a holy land. However, they didn't understand that this holy land was hollow. Was it really what Wang Lin wanted? All of this was just dust on the outside. Wang Lin was not one to care about his personal prestige and fame. He was just an ordinary person, and even as a cultivator he was just a little cultivator. He only wanted a home, a hometown where he could calmly recall the past. He just wanted a trace of familiarity that would allow him to feel warmth after more than 2,000 years of cruel cultivation. Just a trace of warmth. However, the warmth had become a luxury. He wanted to find it, but along the way, he hadn't found any. Wang Lin turned around and looked at the confused madman as he whispered, "Why is it like this?" The madman gave a silly smile. "This king, this is quite pretty, Wang Lin silently pondered and looked at the sky. After a long time, he let out a sigh and stepped forward. He left with the madman to go the place he was afraid to look at the most, his real home. The old country of Zhao. Wang Lin looked at the country of Zhao from above and his eyes became blurry. This place didn't change. He was the Lord of the Sealed Realm, but at this moment, he was just someone who had returned to his hometown. He was an old man looking for trace of the past. Below him was the country of Zhao, and the old man and his 3 disciples had already arrived here. This is where the Lord of the Sealed Realm grew up, the old voice slowly echoed. Tears streaming long, wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1571. The leaf has roots. The old man pointed at the country of Zhao and said to his disciples, "The Lord of the Sealed Realm grew up here. It is called the country of Zhao. This is the real holy land of planet Suzaku." Before the four of them, there was a flash of light around the border of the country of Zhao. This light surrounded the country of Zhao, forming a formation. The role of this formation was to prevent outsiders from going in. All of planet Suzaku and its 9 major sects can be visited as long as you present a token. This is the only place that foreign cultivators are not allowed to enter. This was the most resolute request that Zhou Wutai, the leader of planet Suzaku, had when planet Suzaku was being transformed. Anywhere else can be changed, but not a blade of grass can be changed in the country of Zhao. The old man stood outside the light curtain and his voice was very calm. His 3 disciples looked at the country of Zhao with respect in their eyes. They looked at the faintly visible peaks and clasped their hands at the country of Zhao. Anyone who doesn't abide by the agreement and enters the country of Zhao is severely punished. The old man's eyes lit up as he spoke and looked into the distance at Wang Lin and the madman. His 3 disciples were startled for a moment and looked over at Wang Lin. They glared angrily and sneered. Although planet Suzaku is not big, we always seem to see annoying people. Those 2 are so vulgar, they are really an eyesore. The madman also saw the 4 of them, and he immediately became excited. He began to happily yell at the 4 of them. Little girls, we meet again, ahaha. It looks like we are fated with each other. For our connected fate, come, this king has rewards. Wang Lin seemed to not hear the madman's roar as he silently looked at the country of Zhao. His vision became blurry, and a burst of sadness appeared in his heart. The unspeakable mood made him walk closer, and he gradually closed in on the light around the country of Zhao. The old man's 3 disciples were all filled with anger by the madman's words. If not for the fact that their teacher was present, they would have gone up and taught the madman a lesson. The old man frowned and was about to speak when his eyes narrowed as he looked at Wang Lin. He saw Wang Lin get closer and closer to the formation as if he was going to break it. His expression sank and the old man no longer paid attention to the madman. He stepped toward Wang Lin and said with a grave tone, "Fellow cultivator, the country of Zhao, home to Lord of the Sealed Realm, is not a place outsiders like us can enter. I hope you can control yourself." The old man's words were like roaring thunder and shook the surrounding area, scaring the madman. The madman stared at the old man and began to roar. "Damn it, you scared this king. You have to repay me, you scared me." Wang Lin turned a deaf ear. There was no light formation in his eyes. The only thing he felt was the familiar feeling from the country of Zhao. This feeling became more and more clear, making him remember everything. With one step, he closed in on the light formation and immediately caused ripples to spread out. It was as if a giant vortex had appeared before Wang Lin. The vortex became more and more intense until the ripples spread across the entire formation around the country of Zhao. "Fellow cultivator, stop." The expression of the old man changed, and he charged at Wang Lin without thinking. He tried to stop Wang Lin. In his eyes, Wang Lin's action had already offended the hometown of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, and he would need to be severely punished. Since he saw it, he had to stop it. However, he was a bit too slow. A breath before he closed in, the vortex before Wang Lin formed. It was as if 2 invisible hands were gently opening up a hole in the formation. Wang Lin's body didn't pause at all this entire time. He entered the country of Zhao from that gap with melancholy and homesickness in his heart. He wanted to find that familiar feeling once more. He stepped onto the land he was familiar with. There was a flash of coldness in the old man's eyes and he hesitated for a moment. He then let out a cold snort and chased through the gap. "What great courage! You dare to break open the formation of Zhao and enter? You have already brought a big disaster upon yourself. It won't be long before someone comes to punish you. Since this old man has witnessed it, I won't let you offend the Lord of the Sealed Realm like this." The old man stepped into the gap and chased after Wang Lin. The moment the formation was opened by Wang Lin, all the powerful cultivators on planet Suzaku noticed. Their expressions changed. They were angry and gloomy. Who dares to break into the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown? He's courting death. This old man wants to see who has the guts to break the formation around the country of Zhao. Rays of light flew out from all directions on planet Suzaku and flew toward the country of Zhao. At the same time, 9 powerful auras flew out from the 9 great sects and rushed toward the country of Zhao. Breaking open the formation around the country of Zhao and entering by force was a great matter for planet Suzaku. It was an unforgivable offense to the Lord of the Sealed Realm, so that person had to be punished. Outside the formation, the old man's 3 disciples were in a daze. They had seen the gap open in the formation and Wang Lin entering. Then their teacher had chased him in, and they didn't know what to do for a moment. Instead, it was the madman who clapped, and his eyes became filled with excitement. He roared and charged toward the gap. "Haha, so fun, so fun." The madman's body flashed, and he stepped into the gap with a flash of gold light. The old man's 3 disciples hesitated for a bit. They looked at each other before clenching their teeth and charging in. Wang Lin looked at the familiar mountains and rivers below him. He looked at the Hangyu mountain in the distance. He looked at the pavilion on the mountaintop from 2,000 years ago. The more he looked, the more familiar everything became. Hangyu's bitterness appeared on Wang Lin's face, and he gently took a step forward. Ripples appeared under his feet, and he disappeared. The moment he disappeared, the old man caught up. His expression was gloomy and his pupils shrank. "Spatial bending. I already can see through his cultivation. I didn't expect him to know spatial bending. However, this is the home of the Lord of the Sealed Realm, and there are many powerful cultivators stationed here. Even though his cultivation level is high, he can escape punishment." The old man's eyes lit up and his divine sense spread out. Ripples appeared under his feet, and he also used spatial bending. There was a mountain village outside the jungle below the Hangyu mountain. This mountain village had already changed into a city. This city's name was changed to Emperor Ancestor City. Wang Lin already knew this when he came here before. However, inside this city, there was an old house that seemed to remain eternally the same. This old house was Wang Lin's old home. There was a large courtyard around his old home. There was an old grave rebuilt by later descendants. It seemed to be waiting for the wandering son to return home. There was no one inside the old house, and the surroundings were extremely quiet. Under this silence, Wang Lin's figure silently appeared inside the courtyard, before the grave. He looked grave, and tears silently flowed down his cheeks. Wang Lin shed tears and knelt down before the grave. The memories of his childhood didn't appear in his mind like in the past. At this moment he was filled with exhaustion, and tears continued to flow before his parents' tomb. As he looked at the grave, sorrow filled his mind, but he was calm. It was as if only here did his heart belong to himself and could finally rest. Everything here didn't change. Everything here was the same as in the past. Here was his real home. He raised his trembling right hand and touched the tomb. Feeling the names carved into the tomb, more tears flowed from Wang Lin's eyes. Hadn't he returned to planet Suzaku to pay his respects to his parents' tomb. Hadn't he returned to planet Suzaku to see his parents once more. Hadn't he returned to planet Suzaku because his parents were buried here. Planet Suzaku carried half of Wang Lin's memories and his memories of his parents, his everything. Whenever he became tired, he would look at the sky and dream of planet Suzaku. Leaves have roots. When they fall, they return to their roots. Humans have souls, and the soul feels sorrow when remembering one's parents. I can give up everything as long as you all are alive. Let me, Wan Er, and Ping Er reunite. I can give up everything. It had been a long time since Wang Lin last cried like this. He really missed his parents. His heart ached as he recalled his parents. His painful cry lingered in this quiet world. All people have parents. The sadness of losing both parents seems to slowly dissipate as time passes. However, in truth, it is buried deep within your bones. Who can forget? As one gets older and older, the feeling of grief gets buried deeper and deeper. Once it is released, that sadness is heaven shaking. Humans have emotions. That's why they recalled humans. You dare to charge into the Lord of the Sealed Realm's house just at this moment. Ripples echoed across the sky and an elder stepped out. His expression was gloomy and his eyes were filled with anger. He respected the Lord of the Sealed Realm, so he wouldn't allow someone to invade the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown. He chased over and immediately saw Wang Lin kneeling before the tomb. He saw the tears on Wang Lin's face and heard those sad words. He immediately swallowed his words. He was startled and body trembled. His mind went blank and a thunderous rumble echoed in his mind. He knew what place this was, and he knew who was buried here. He knew that there was only one person qualified to kneel there and cry like this. He also heard the person kneeling before the tomb mutter something. His body trembled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. "Father, Mother Taiju came back to see you." Wang Lin touched the tombstone. It was as if his parents were standing before him. Their kind gazes seemed to penetrate time itself, reaching here from 2000 years ago. The like button for the VIDEO is in danger. Urgently wishing for the like button for the VIDEO's aid. Chapter 1572. The past is like smoke. Wang Lin seemed to not notice the old man's arrival. He touched the tombstone and knelt before it. The tombstone was very cold, and bursts of coldness came from his hands. However, that turned into warmth in his mind. Tears flowed down from his cheeks and fell on the grave. They slowly soaked into the tomb and seemed to fall on his parents. The coldness from his hands, the warmth in his heart, and the tears that fell on the grave seemed to cause Wang Lin and his parents' grave to fuse into one. This fusion gave off an unspeakable mood. The old man in the sky was in a daze. His mind rumbled as if countless bolts of thunder were exploding inside him. His body trembled, and he had a guess in his mind. This guess made his eyes filled with excitement. Only one person had the qualifications to kneel before this grave, to cry like this before this grave, and to call out father and mother before this grave. That was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. A faint and gentle light seemed to release from Wang Lin's body and shroud the tombstone. As he knelt there, his tears continued to fall. With a sad expression, he looked at his parents' names on the tombstone. However, when the old man looked over, he took a deep breath. He didn't know if he was hallucinating, but the shadow of a woman appeared on the left of Wang Lin. This figure was very weak, as if it would dissipate from a gentle breeze. She had long hair, but it was impossible to clearly see her appearance. However, her body gave off the same sense of sadness. She silently stood beside Wang Lin, looking at the tomb, and also knelt down. From afar, the shadow of the woman and Wang Lin looked like a husband and wife paying respects before their parents' tomb. In the blink of an eye, another shadow appeared on the right of Wang Lin. This was the figure of a young man about 20 years old who looked very similar to Wang Lin. At this moment, a third shadow appeared. This time it was a woman. They looked at the grave with sad expressions and knelt down as well. This was like a family of four paying their respects. While heartwarming, an inexplicable bitterness spread in the old man's mind. Just at this moment, howls echoed across the sky. The madman closed in while laughing, and the old man's three disciples pursued closely. Everyone immediately arrived before this old house. The old man's three disciples closed in while shouting, but their teacher immediately brought them to his side. He stared at them and they immediately stopped shouting. They lowered their heads and looked at Wang Lin, who was kneeling before the grave. The madman ran for a long distance, but when he looked back to see no one chasing, he scratched his head. He landed in the old house and saw Wang Lin kneeling not far away. He circled around Wang Lin a few times and faintly saw the three figures beside Wang Lin. Wang Lin turned a deaf ear to all of this. He silently sat there, touching the tombstone as if he was his parents' old faces. At this moment, the sky became dark. As the sun gradually fell, the formation around Zhao flickered violently. Seeing that someone had entered the formation around Zhao, the powerful cultivators stationed on planet Suzaku all rushed over. More than 10 rays of light entered the formation, and they seemed to notice Wang Lin. Rays of light flew across the dark sky and a lot of cultivators appeared. They all stared at Wang Lin, who was kneeling before the grave. Some of them were native cultivators of planet Suzaku, who had seen Wang Lin before, so when they saw the kneeling Wang Lin, they immediately recognized him. Lord of the Sealed Realm, Wang Lin. Exclamations came from the mouths of the cultivators that recognized Wang Lin. This caused a commotion that was like a storm among the cultivators that came. Shock and disbelief filled them, along with excitement. The old man's three disciples were gobsmacked. They could have never expected the person that had come with the madman, the person they had called vulgar, to be the Lord of the Sealed Realm. At this moment, their minds were blank. They had forgotten how to think and were just standing there in a daze. In the distance, the sky lit up and a red cloud rushed over. In the blink of an eye, it closed in and a person walked out. He was an old man wearing a red robe. His face was pale, but he gave off a sense of majesty without being angry. One could faintly see Zhou Wutai's features on his old face. This old man was the lord of planet Suzaku, Zhou Wutai. He looked at the kneeling Wang Lin, and his expression became melancholy. He silently stood there for a long time and then softly said one line before all the silent cultivators. You've returned. Wang Lin didn't raise his head. He continued to look at the tomb. A moment later, he said, I've returned. Zhou Wutai was old and his body gave off a sense of age. With a step, he arrived beside Wang Lin and bowed at the grave. All of you, leave and give us some quiet time. Zhou Wutai looked up at the people above. Although there were a lot of cultivators with higher cultivation levels, Zhou Wutai was the lord of planet Suzaku. His identity was highly regarded, and his words had more impact than his cultivation level would indicate. The more than a dozen cultivators silently suppressed their excitement. They bowed at Wang Lin and then at the grave before respectfully leaving. Many of them didn't belong to planet Suzaku. They had come from other places and volunteered to guard planet Suzaku to pay respects to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The old man also left with his 3 disciples that were still shocked from disbelief. In a flash, only Wang Lin, Zhou Wutai, and the madman were left in this old house. A moment later, the madman felt that it was a bit boring, so he walked to the side. He leaned against a wall, closed his eyes, and began to sleep. Zhou Wutai silently pondered for a moment and then sat down beside Wang Lin. He waved his right hand, took out 2 jugs of wine and put them down. He looked at the grave and softly asked, How long do you plan to stay? Wang Lin raised his hand that was touching the tombstone and silently sat down on the ground. The 3 phantoms around him slowly dissipated. It one belong Wang Lin picked up one of the wine jugs and took a sip. This is the wine had a taste he was familiar with, as if he had returned to more than 1,000 years ago. Zhou Wutai softly said, This is the Seng family's wine. I saved a lot from back then to drink with you again. Zhou Wutai picked up the jug and took a sip. He looked up at the sky and slowly said, I took that child from the Seng family as my disciple. If he knew you would come back, he would be very happy. Wang Lin silently pondered, and Sang Niu's child appeared in his mind. That child with pretty good talent. Wang Lin looked at his parents' grave and softly said, Thanks. What is there to thank? My position as Lord of Planet Suzaku is something you gave me. Yet I can stop them from entering Planet Suzaku. After you became the Lord of the Sealed Realm, a lot of people came. They came with good intentions to make this place a holy land. I can only keep this country of Zhou Wutai said bitterly, and then took a big sip. I know you are one who is nostalgic. Perhaps this place has changed too much and it makes you feel estranged. Zhou Wutai sighed. Wang Lin didn't speak and drank the entire jug. Then Zhou Wutai took out a few more jugs and placed them before Wang Lin. The sky slowly darkened and moonlight shrouded the earth. While gentle, it contained silvers of coldness. The 2 of them sat under the moonlight and drank wine. They sat in Wang Lin's old home and spoke of the past. The tattoo clan Yunkezi's lifespan reached its end. I buried him before he died. He kept saying your name. The cloud sky is now one of the 9 major sects, but all the old faces are now gone. The planet Suzaku today, forget you, even I feel it has become unfamiliar. Very few people from the past remain. Zhou Wutai drank wine, and his eyes recalled the past. Do you still remember the country of Hu Feng's Zhou Zihong? I only learned later that you knew her. She left with her mother Feng Luan many years ago. I heard that they entered a sect in the Summoned River. Zhou Zihong's Dao partner died in a great battle a few years ago. Wang Lin listened to Zhou Wutai's words and silently drank wine. 1 jug after another. Wang Lin, in truth, I envy you. The moonlight became even stronger. The bright moon hung high in the sky. Zhou Wutai seemed a bit drunk. Perhaps it wasn't his body that was drunk but his soul. You dared to walk out of planet Suzaku and dared to struggle between life and death. I wouldn't dare. I can only guard here. Zhou Wutai's face was filled with bitterness. I've guarded for more than 1,000 years. I can never forget your figure as you left planet Suzaku, after appointing me Lord of Planet Suzaku. Back then, I envied you, but not as strongly as today. Remember that disciple of mine Zhou Wutai took a large gulp and sadness appeared in his eyes. He has been dead for many years. He was part of my domain. I promised him I would accompany him. Until he died, I buried him on planet Suzaku. Every time I wanted to leave planet Suzaku, I would go to him and silently drink before his grave. Zhou Wutai lowered his head. My disciple really loved his home. He didn't want to leave his hometown. Wang Lin didn't speak. he drank the Sang family's wine with Zhou Wutai until the moon disappeared. Until the sky turned white and the sun began to rise. Wang Lin, Red Butterfly may not be dead. Zhou Wutai, whose soul was drunk, said this at the moment of dawn. The like button for the VIDEO has dropped to 5th place. Tears brimming and wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. Chapter 1573. Soul within the long hair. Wang Lin's hand that was holding the wine paused due to Zhou Wutai's words. That extremely prideful soul appeared before his eyes. That red soul filled with pride and loneliness had shined brightly on planet Suzaku. Red Butterfly's life was very short, but the brightness of her existence was something even someone like Wang Lin found hard to forget. That woman that would rather die than submit. That extremely cold woman who had made all the juniors of planet Suzaku bow and not dare to raise their heads. Red Butterfly, just like her name, was a butterfly formed by the most bright red light in the heavens. This butterfly was very beautiful and was remembered by countless people. Wang Lin recalled the past as he slowly put down the wine and looked at Zhou Wutai. Zhou Wutai raised his head to look at Wang Lin and slowly said, Red Butterfly belonged to the country of Zhuoyu. The country of Zhuoyu disappeared over the ages, which was related to your seal. The cultivators of the country of Zhuoyu that remain are now scattered between the 9 main sects. However, after the country of Zhuoyu disbanded, I found an empty area there. Zhou Wutai's expression became serious, and he took a sip of wine. Do you still remember Red Butterfly's teacher? Her teacher once divined that Red Butterfly would face a life and death calamity. If she could survive it, her 5-element body would be completed. Wang Lin nodded. Zhou Wutai calmly said, The place I found was sealed by Red Butterfly's teacher before her death. Red Butterfly's teacher's cultivation level was not high, so one thing confused me. How did she place such a complex formation? In this formation, there is a strand of Red Butterfly's hair. What formation? Wang Lin felt that this was a bit strange and his eyes narrowed. I don't know much about formations, so I couldn't see through much. I know about the relationship between you and Red Butterfly, so I preserved the formation. Now that you here, you will know when you see it. Zhou Wutai got up and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked at parents' grave. His purpose for returning was to pay his respects to his parents. He took a deep breath and didn't awaken the sleeping madman. He stepped toward the sky along with Zhou Wutai. In the northern part of planet Suzaku stood a mountain range. At the heart of the mountain range, there was a large Suzaku statue. It was something from the past, and it was Zhou Wutai's cave. The sky became twisted when Wang Lin and Zhou Wutai appeared. Zhou Wutai led the two into the large Suzaku statue. There was a large mansion inside. In one of the stone rooms, Wang Lin saw the mysterious formation. Zhou Wutai had moved here. This formation was about 100 feet wide and occupied the entire room. This caused the room to be covered in ice. There was a strand of hair frozen at the center of the formation. The formation seemed to have been inactive for many years and showed no signs of operating. This is the formation. Zhou Wutai looked at the formation and his face revealed the bewilderment he had in the past. I don't believe Red Butterfly's teacher could have placed this formation with her cultivation level. Wang Lin stepped into the formation and lowered his head. He began to carefully examine it. It was very complex and contained a lot of restrictions. It was as Zhou Wutai had said, it was not something a first-step cultivator could place. Zhou Wutai slowly said, If not for the fact that the formation had already stopped when I found it, I would have been injured by it. Wang Lin squatted down and placed his right hand on the ice. The ice twinkled and thunderous rumbles echoed, causing the formation to show signs of activating. Deduction light appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and a moment later he released his right hand. After he removed his right hand from the ice, the formation stopped. Wang Lin pondered a bit, and then calmly said, This is a soul-splitting transfer array. This must have been placed by a cultivator at the peak of the Nirvana cleanser stage or higher. It is not something Red Butterfly's teacher could place. Or she was hiding her cultivation level, however. If she was hiding her cultivation level, what happened to Red Butterfly later can be explained. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he analyzed. The role of this array is to separate a portion of the soul using his strand of hair and then transfer it away. I don't know where it will be transferred to. The strand of hair does contain Red Butterfly's aura. Maybe Red Butterfly really isn't dead. This matter surprised him. He didn't expect to find such a secret on planet Suzaku. Back then, Red Butterfly's teacher divined that Red Butterfly would face a life-and-death crisis. She likely knew that this crisis was difficult to avoid and somehow found this formation. She placed this formation here before Red Butterfly faced her calamity. She took a part of her soul and sent it away. She wanted to use this method to give Red Butterfly a chance of survival. As a result, even though Red Butterfly died, with this portion of soul, she can be reborn and avoid that calamity. Wang Lin got up and looked at Zhou Wutai. Zhou Wutai began to ponder. After thinking for a long time, he said, "After I found the formation, I searched the records of the previous lords of planet Suzaku. I found a secret. The cultivators of the country of Shuiyu were foreign cultivators, just like the giant demon clan." Wang Lin silently pondered and left the room. He stood on top of the Suzaku statue. His gaze seemed to penetrate the world and enter the vastness of space. No matter what the truth is, Red Butterfly being alive is a happy thing perhaps. At this moment, she is somewhere else, looking at planet Suzaku. However, I wonder if she still has memories of this place. If she remembers the past, Wang Lin's voice was light as it entered Zhou Wutai's ears. "I am also happy that she is not dead. There are not many friends left. I hope I can meet her again in my lifetime." Zhou Wutai smiled before letting out a sigh and nodding. The hatred of the past had long dissipated in the passage of time. Perhaps I have seen her. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he recalled the past 2,000 years, but he couldn't find an answer. Forget it. If she wants us to know, we will meet her one day. If she doesn't want to, then we can just think that she is dead. Zhou Wutai seemed a bit depressed. He looked at Wang Lin as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't. "Brother Zhou, I am leaving." Wang Lin turned toward Zhou Wutai and clasped his hands. Zhou Wutai's expression became complicated, and after hesitating a bit, he clasped his hands and asked, Have you seen Liu Mei over the years?" Wang Lin looked at Zhou Wutai, and after a moment, he slowly said, "I have seen her. She is dead." Zhou Wutai's face became pale as he bitterly shook his head and no longer said anything. Wang Lin left. His figure disappeared from the Suzaku statue. Zhou Wutai silently stood on the statue, looking at where Wang Lin disappeared to. He looked even more dispirited. "Liu Mei," died. Zhou Wutai sat down and let out a sigh. He picked up a wine jug and began to drink. There had always been a figure in his heart over the past 2,000 years, and it had never disappeared. He drank until the sky was dark. Zhou Wutai looked at the sky and began to laugh. His laughter was filled with sadness. No one knew that back then, he had always admired Liu Mei. Even Wang Lin had only noticed this from Zhou Wutai's expression just now, but what could he even say? Wang Lin showed his filial piety by staying before his parents' grave for 7 days. During these 7 days, he didn't leave. He just sat before the grave, drinking wine. During these 7 days, Wang Lin's heart slowly calmed down. He was like an old man who had stopped thinking. He stopped thinking about the rejection force in his body and was immersed in the warmth of the sorrow of accompanying his parents. He silently watched the days go by. The madman had woken up a long time ago. He stretched his body and began to chatter non-stop in Wang Lin's ears. After he took Wang Lin's wine jug and downed a few drinks, he became even more talkative. After drinking a lot of wine, he seemed to be drunk and began to sing. This caused the sadness around this old house to dissipate a bit. On the 8th day, Wang Lin kowtowed before his parents' grave and took a deep breath of the air in his hometown. He looked at parents' grave before turning around and leaving. With this step, he turned from a mortal that had returned to his hometown back into a cultivator. A ruthless cultivator. With this, Wang Lin returned to the bloody cultivation world from the mortal world. What he would face now would not be the warmth of his parents but the treacherous and dangerous cultivation path. This was a path of no return. Once you stepped on this world, you would have to continue. You couldn't stop, and even if you look back, it would only be for a brief moment. There is one last place I need to go on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin flew in the sky with the madman and his gaze looked into the distance. That was where the deep hole of the Tattoo clan was located. That was the place where the old vermilion bird divine emperor wanted to go into. The secret that was inside the TH layer had troubled Wang Lin for a long time. In a flash, Wang Lin brought the still chattering madman, and they flew toward that giant hole in the Tattoo clan. Forgot to mention, at the end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1574, The Secret at the TH Layer. The whole of the tattoo clan hadn't changed much after the reconstruction of planet Suzaku. Over the years, it had become the most mysterious place on planet Suzaku. Cultivators would often go explore inside. During the recent few decades, as foreign cultivators came to planet Suzaku, there were many that went into this deep hole but in the end found nothing. No one could get to the deepest layer. Wang Lin and the madman instantly appeared outside the hole. He looked at the hole and was about to enter. However, the madman behind him was unwilling and began to roar at Wang Lin. Not going, this king will not go. This king will wait for you here, ha, go on your own. Once you come out, find this king. The madman's eyes turned and he retreated, shaking his head. Wang Lin looked at the madman with gaze like lightning. The madman blinked and his voice lowered a lot, but he still vigorously shook his head. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He knew the madman's thoughts. The madman only wanted to play around planet Suzaku. Wang Lin didn't want to force him and only nodded. He no longer paid attention to the madman and entered the deep hole. When the madman saw Wang Lin leave, excitement filled his face. He ran off into the distance while murmuring. Those three little girls didn't want to tell this king their names. Their expressions were really strange before. Ha, if this king finds them again, they will definitely tell me their names. The madman looked extremely proud as he disappeared over the horizon. Wang Lin had come to the Tattoo Clan's land many times in the past, so he was extremely familiar with it. He remembered the entrance to each layer and he quickly flew through each layer. Along the way, he didn't stop at all. He appeared in a layer and would then disappear and reappear at the entrance to the next layer. Soon, he arrived in the layer. There were 13 coffins with flashing tattoos on the 16th layer. These 13 coffins were placed in a circle with a black pool in the middle. They gave off a chilling aura that spread across this area. The coffins were still as Wang Lin had seen them before. They gave off a chilling aura. The corpses lying inside were the ancestors of the Tattoo Clan. The entrance to the layer was inside the black pool. Wang Lin looked at the pool and spotted a seal. This seal could only be broken by corporeal yang or higher cultivators. Back then, Wang Lin couldn't enter himself, so he had relied on Big Head's strength. Now, Wang Lin calmly stepped forward. When he got close to the pool couldn't withstand the pressure from Wang Lin's body. The pool collapsed, revealing a giant vortex. The vortex pulled the black water and revealed the entrance to the next layer. Wang Lin stepped in and disappeared. When he appeared, he was in the T8 layer. Back then, countless chains filled this place. Many celestial corpses were sealed here to be guards. Everything that had happened was still fresh in Wang Lin's memory. He had begun a vicious battle here, causing the 17th layer to collapse. He looked over and saw that the TH layer was in ruins. Only the giant vortex at the center was still there. This vortex was entrance to the TAH layer that had appeared after the 17th layer collapsed. Looking at the entrance, Wang Lin let out a sigh. He spent a lot of effort back then to get here, but now it all seemed so easy. Back then, he still remembered the old vermilion bird divine Emperor's avatar appearing to stop him from entering the 18th layer. Then the old vermilion bird divine Emperor's avatar changed his mind and allowed Wang Lin to enter to comprehend under his protection. Wang Lin shook his head and calmly walked into the vortex. Howling sounds echoed across his ears, but they couldn't mess with his mind at all. After the howling disappeared, Wang Lin appeared in the deepest part he had been to before, the CH layer. This was a room that was 1,000 feet wide. The surroundings were black. Only a faint fire emitted a small amount of light at the center. This light fused with the darkness, making this place look extremely dim. As the fire flickered, there seemed to be myriads of ghosts floating around, and there were sounds of ghostly howls. Some ghosts seemed to want to punch at the fire. However, fluctuations came from the fire and destroyed them all. It was here that Wang Lin had absorbed a strange of essence with the help of the old vermilion bird divine emperor. Just that silver of essence had almost caused him to explode. He looked at the fire with deep fear in his eyes. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin approached the fire. As he closed in, the countless ghosts in the dim room retreated. Their mournful screams echoed within the room. It seemed Wang Lin's arrival had scared these ghosts greatly. They all retreated to the corner while trembling, not daring to get close. Looking at the fire, Wang Lin found that the essence inside it was far too small and chaotic. It was as if someone had created it by force, and it held no attraction to him. The last layer, what is exactly hidden there? Yunkezi said there is a portion of his tattoo clan ancestor's soul. In the 19th layer, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. However, the tattoo clan's ancestor is the sovereign's daughter, and she was sealed by Qing Ling in the demon spirit land. There is no way her soul is here. Wang Lin raised his right hand and grabbed the fire. The essence inside the fire erupted and seemed like it wanted to resist, but its power was simply insignificant to Wang Lin now. Wang Lin mercilessly squeezed and the fire collapsed with a bang. The fire seemed to diffuse across the room, and all those ghosts hiding in the corners seemed to dissipate. A circular door slowly appeared where the fire collapsed. This door gave off an ancient aura. It was being sealed by a large amount of tattoos. There was a large amount of tattoos on the door, and they hadn't been placed at the same time. Instead, it seemed like people had come to place tattoos on it over the countless years, and as time passed, this was the result. Although it was chaotic, these tattoos fused together to create a powerful sealing force. While the seal prevented outsiders from going in, it also sealed whatever was inside the door, preventing it from coming out. No one knew if these seals had been placed to prevent people from going in or to trap the things inside. As Wang Lin looked at those tattoos, his expression became serious. He now knew why the old vermilion bird divine emperor still wasn't able to enter the Because the power of this seal had reached a peak, it was comparable to the full force of a fifth heaven-s blight cultivator. Even a fifth heaven-s blight cultivator would find this door difficult to open unless they reached the third step. Planet Suzaku has such an amazing seal. Wang Lin looked at the tattoo for a long time before raising his right hand. There was a flash of light as he touched the door. Cracking sounds echoed as the countless runes collapsed, and his hand swept across the door. In a flash, the countless seals on the door shattered, leaving only one. Only the Wang Lin of today could do this. If it was the past, this seal could stop tens of thousands of cultivators. The last tattoo on the door was very simple, and it was formed by one stroke. It was just an ordinary circle, but from Wang Lin's view, this last tattoo contained a strange force. This force was also a seal, but it sealed aura. It was sealing the aura of the door, so no matter what was inside, none of the aura would leak out. Under Wang Lin's gaze, he vaguely saw a glimmer of gold in the circle, an extremely well-hidden celestial energy. This tattoo is not something the tattoo clan can possess. As Wang Lin stared at the last tattoo, he took a deep breath and his pupils shrank. This tattoo gave off no aura, but Wang Lin could clearly feel the pressure inside with his divine sense. This is the pressure of the celestial bloodline. When Wang Lin felt this aura, he retreated a few steps. His eyes lit up and he raised his right hand that was shining gold. The celestial energy in his body gathered in his finger, and he pointed at the last tattoo. That circle tattoo flashed and the golden light flashed. Another aura Wang Lin was extremely familiar with appeared. Just as his finger was about to land, his expression changed greatly. His right hand stopped, and his eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at the circle. This there is ancient aura here. The aura he was familiar was ancient aura. It was the aura of ancient Yi Mo. The moment he felt this aura, his body trembled, and a shocking guess appeared in his mind. The left eye was shot out by the Li Guangbo and disappeared into space. There is ancient aura here. Could it be that the TH layer is where Yi Mo's left eye is sealed? Wang Lin's heart began to pound. That should be right. This place contains both the power of the celestial bloodline and the ancient aura. Aside from the left eye that was taken by the arrow, there is nothing else. That left eye originally didn't have the power of the celestial bloodline, but the Li Guangbo that injured it did. As a result, the two fused. This fusion is like my body, and there is a rejection force. I don't know what the tattoo clan did to turn that rejection force into a seal, but thanks to this seal, no one else in the world has found out that ancient Yimo's left eye is actually here. I forgot to say, the latest 3 chapters are all 4,000-word major chapters. Is Leo that kind? So this is the moon god. Is it the like button for the video? Do you all also start the video chapter a sad and beautiful complexion? The devil's face immediately became very grim as he slowly spat out one soul after another. After spitting out more than 40 souls, his golden core was on the brink of shattering. Wang Lin waved his hand and all souls flew into his forehead. They entered his consciousness and floated next to the soul of the core formation cultivator from Xuanwu. The G-realm red lightning flew through each of the souls. As they disappeared, Wang Lin could feel his own soul become a bit stronger. The devil secretly relaxed a bit as he stared at Wang Lin but complained in his heart, "This is too much. These are all souls I managed to steal back from the damn sword. Sooner or later I'll have my revenge. Just wait until my cultivation recovers to the nascent soul stage." Just as he was thinking about how he was going to deal with Wang Lin, once he recovers to the nascent soul stage, his body was grabbed by Wang Lin and was thrown back into the dragon tendon. The devil let out a few frustrated sighs. The urge to go all out against Wang Lin appeared again. However, the urge died down again when he thought about how he wouldn't get a good result, even if he were to shatter his golden core. After taking a gulp of spirit liquid, Wang Lin sat down to cultivate. After thinking about the power of Ji Dong Lai's sword cultivation method, he took out several hundred spirit stones. He was going to use these to place several hundred layers of the turtle shell's defensive formation on himself. After completing all of this, he took a deep breath and hit the side of the wall. The dragon's mouth slowly opened up. He got up and walked out. Just as he walked out of the dragon's mouth, he saw a charming and delicate figure standing near the tail of the dragon. Li Muan's expression looked haggard, but her eyes were shining as she stared at one of the scales on the dragon's tail. Xianxia stood next to her with a glowing pearl, providing light for her. Wang Lin remained silent. This time, his closed-door cultivation didn't take long, but from the looks of Li Muan, she hadn't left at all. He sighed in his heart as he jumped down. His body glided down along the dragon and landed behind her. When Xianxia saw Wang Lin, he immediately put even more spiritual energy into the pearl to make it shine brighter. He also forced sweat to appear on his forehead to make it look like he was focused. Wang Lin watched her delicate face making a serious expression. Her eyebrows, which were as beautiful as a painting, were furrowed, and she was biting her lower lip as she carefully examined the scales. A gentle wind blew by, moving a few strands of her hair. Wang Lin's voice was gentle as he slowly said, "Let us go, I'll take you home." Li Muan's fingers trembled. She raised her head toward Wang Lin and stared at him for a long time before whispering, "Are you really going to send me back?" Wang Lin dodged Li Muan's gaze and nodded. Li Muan chuckled, but this chuckle contained a trace of helplessness. She stood up, tidied up her clothes, and said, "Give me 3 days of time, okay?" Wang Lin looked at her once before floating back to the dragon's head and sat down in the lotus position. Li Muan took out a piece of jade from her bag of holding and placed it on her forehead. After recording the pattern of the scales she had memorized, she turned to Xianxia and calmly said, "Prepare a room for me." Xianxia quickly agreed. He felt like he was wrong about what he saw back then. This fiend and this little girl's relationship wasn't what he originally thought it was. Inside the room, Li Muan calmly sat on the ground as scenes from these past few years flashed through her eyes. From when she was being chased by that core formation cultivator from Xuanwu, to being saved by Wang Lin, and the two of them escaping together. Then to being chased by the fire beasts and charging through the fire beasts into the sea of devils. Creating the cave where she focused on alchemy and he focused on cultivation until he left for 3 years and brought her back the pill furnace. When he returned, he was being chased by core formation cultivators. He was then able to reach the core formation stage and carved up a path of blood. When Wang Lin was reaching the core formation stage, a weak girl like herself went out to face those core formation demonic cultivators herself. Just as she was about to kill herself, Wang Lin suddenly appeared and saved her. She wasn't able to comprehend this sudden change. It caused her body to weaken and she was about to fall over when he caught her. "Don't move. I am taking you to kill people." This phrase kept echoing inside Li Muan's ears. Thinking about that phrase made many complicated feelings appear in her heart and her face turned red. Along the way, she thought about it many times and couldn't help but bitterly smile about it. However, as Wang Lin killed his way here, that phrase weighted heavily in her heart. Li Muan muttered, "I am taking you to kill people." Her lips curled up into a faint smile as she took a breath. Other people would take me to watch a beautiful moon or the setting sun, and yet he takes me to kill people. Shortly after, she exhaled and muttered, "Over these years, he never asked for my name, and I still don't know what his is either. Perhaps in his eyes, my name is not important. What's important is that I know alchemy now that the pills have been refined. I guess I have lost my value thinking about this." The complicated feelings in her heart became even stronger until they became a heart-piercing pain. A stream of blood leaked out from the corner of her mouth. This line of blood, in contrast with her immaculate beauty, was very shocking. The term sad beauty was very fitting for her right now. After a long time, she bit her lower lip and took out pieces of jade scales from her bag of holding. There was a total of, the same as the number of scales on the dragon. Earlier, Ji Donglei didn't have enough disciples to stand on every single scale. These pieces of jade scales were the fruits of her last half a month of sleepless effort. She spent all that time recording each scale. The amount of mental stress she had accumulated cost her at least 5 years of her life. It was just that Li Muan didn't care about any of that anymore. She took up the scales one by one and linked them together. Sometimes she would even change what was inside them. First she fused the almost pieces of jade into pieces, then pieces, and so on. 3 days later, Li Muan's face was pale, and her body was very weak. She felt like she would fall over if the wind were to blow on her. She walked out of the cave leaning against the wall. Wang Lin was holding an object that he had been studying for the last 3 days in his hand. When Li Muan came out, he put the object away before jumping down before her. When he saw her even more worn-out face, he frowned and asked, "What were you doing in the last 3 days?" "Drink this." He took out a jade bottle that contained 300 drops of spiritual liquid and placed it in Li Muan's hand. Li Muan put away the jade bottle like a treasure and whispered, "Thank you, senior brother. I am fine. Let us go with that." Her face regained some color as she leaned on Wang Lin's shoulder and said, "Come on, let's go home." Wang Lin pondered for a very long time before wrapping his left hand around Li Muan's waist. His body immediately flew into the air and cut open a path in the fog before them. Then the two quickly disappeared into the sky. The plum blossom is an elegant thing. If there it had a hint of gold, it would look too grand. However, that red in the center changes the entire feel of the flower, from plain to awe-inspiring, from elegant to something strange. There were many cultivators talking to each other at the inn, but when the old man entered, the talking stopped. A few gazes turned toward the old man before they were withdrawn. After the old man entered the inn, he didn't even look around and sat down on a seat near the window. After ordering some light wine, he sat there and drank by himself, his brow sometimes furrowed and sometimes loosened. His heart was clearly very heavy. At this moment, the talking in the inn returned. At one of the tables, a few cultivators revealed worried expressions and whispered, "That fiend killed his way here and then fought with the fighting evil sect Ji Donglei for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, he used a mysterious magic treasure to kill Ji Donglei in an instant, and then whipped his body for 7 days and 7 nights. I think Nandu City will have a new owner." The old man's expression changed when he heard the words mysterious magic treasure. A round-faced cultivator revealed a reminiscent look and sighed. "Hey, so what about it?" "I personally saw that fiend myself." At that moment, the sky was filled with bodies he had trapped. There were at least 1,000 bodies being dragged behind him. That fiend really knows how to enjoy himself. He was even holding a beautiful girl in his arms as he flew across the sky. That scene is something I will never forget in my life. The old man slightly frowned and muttered to himself. A cold-faced young man took a drink and sneered, "You guys should be quiet. I heard that person cultivates the very vicious death spell and hates it when people talk about him. Be careful. If words reaches his ears, you guys will die without a grave." The moment the old man heard the words death spell, his eyes immediately lit up. The young man sneered as he took another gulp. "In my opinion, since that person has the kill order on him, if he is still within Nandu City, then he won't live for much longer. Right now there are no nascent soul cultivators near Nandu City, but once the news spreads, nascent soul cultivators might make their way here. If I were him, I would find a place to hide out these 100 days. 100-day kill order? The old man's eyes immediately lit up even more. His right hand reached out, and the young man's face immediately turned red as his neck was grabbed by an invisible force and pulled over. "Boy, this old man is very interested in the person you talked about. Could you tell me about him in detail?" It's been a long time since wishing for likes on the VIDEO. The little pig wishing for the like button for the VIDEO support. Chapter Point of Origin. Wang Lin's heart was pounding. He was shaken by his bold guess. He stared at the last tattoo sealing the door and let out a deep breath. The tattoo seal contained the celestial bloodline and ancient aura, creating the rejection force. However, this circular tattoo not only made it so the rejection force didn't break the door, it was also sealing the door. The ingenuity of this tattoo shocked Wang Lin. This tattoo opened a door for him, another path for him to take to get rid of the rejection force inside him. This tattoo seal fuses celestial and ancient energy. Too few people in the world can open it, only someone like me can. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with deduction, but after a long time, he couldn't help but sigh. He felt a sense of complication and absurdity. He felt that it was like a reincarnation cycle that layered upon of itself. If he didn't leave planet Suzaku, he would have never gone to the demon spirit land. Then he would have never used the rift there to enter Al Heaven. If he hadn't gone to Al Heaven, he couldn't have entered the Nether Beast. If he hadn't know about the Nether Beast, he wouldn't have had the idea of making it his life essence beast. With that, he wouldn't have been devoured by the Nether Beast in the first battle at the Cloud Sea. Then he would have never met the madman, let alone get the celestial bloodline. He naturally also wouldn't have had to deal with the rejection force. Now that he had returned to planet Suzaku, he had arrived back at the place where he had taken his first step. He had returned to the point of origin. However, at the point of origin, he found that if one thing went wrong, he could never open the 19th layer. He was the only one in the world who could open this seal. This kind of thing made Wang Lin feel emotional and confused. After a long time, Wang Lin gently shook his head and no longer thought about such absurd things. His eyes shined and he slowly raised his right hand. He didn't use any celestial energy or ancient energy. Instead, he controlled the rejection force to spread out from his index finger. An instant later, Wang Lin felt pain in his body. It was like a soft sword that moved around like a twisted thorn. It went through his right arm, shredding his flesh and blood. Even his bones trembled as the rejection force gathered in his index finger. Wang Lin's index finger trembled, and a large amount of sweat appeared on his forehead. It took him a moment to regain his breath, and he used his great fortitude to stop his index finger from trembling under his intense pain. Wang Lin's right index finger slowly stretched out and landed on the circle tattoo. At this moment, the rejection force inside Wang Lin roared inside his body and erupted as if it had found its companion. Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale, but his right index finger didn't tremble. His gaze was focused on the tip of his finger, and he was ignoring the rejection force inside his body. He slowly manipulated his index finger to sketch the circle tattoo. He was going to completely sketch it once. By doing this, he could open the tattoo. Every time he moved, the rejection force inside his body erupted. He could feel the rejection force continue to rush out from the tattoo and enter his finger. The intense pain caused him to sweat a lot in just a few breaths. Blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth. His internal organs felt like they were churning and about to collapse. The tearing between his celestial body and flesh was like pulling someone's soul out of their body. This kind of pain was difficult to describe unless you have experienced it yourself. Time slowly passed, and in a flash, 7 minutes went by. This room was filled with Wang Lin's rough breathing. His eyes became bloodshot, and the veins in his right hand swelled up greatly, resulting in a shocking sight. Not only his right hand, but the veins on his face were also swollen. They were wiggling as if the rejection force wanted to erupt from his body. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and stared at his finger. He slowly moved and continued to sketch. The rejection force rumbled violently inside him. The popping sounds from his body overshadowed his breathing. The thunderous rumbles echoed across the room. A bit more, Wang Lin's right hand was almost numb. The difficulty of absorbing the rejection force was like fighting a vicious battle against a third-step cultivator. It was even tougher than that. This tattoo could only be opened with this method. If one only had celestial energy, they couldn't open it. If one only had ancient energy, they also couldn't open it. If one had either, they could destroy and refine the entire place and it wouldn't harm the tattoo one bit. Time passed. Wang Lin used almost 15 minutes to draw this last small portion. When he finished drawing and his numb finger returned to the starting position, a powerful rejection force erupted from the tattoo and entered his right hand. There was a loud bang and Wang Lin was forced back. Light came from his body and the light and shadow shield activated, but it only lasted a few breaths before collapsing. Wang Lin coughed out a mouthful of blood. The moment the light and shadow shield collapsed, the Emperor Furnace appeared. With a bang, the Emperor Furnace became distorted. It was knocked back into Wang Lin's star. Thanks to the light and shadow shield and the Emperor Furnace, the power from the tattoo had weakened greatly. It landed on his body and blood flowed from his mouth once more. His body was knocked back several hundred feet into the wall. Cracking sounds echoed, and the wall behind Wang Lin began to crack. The circular tattoo gave off a powerful light that lit up the entire room. As the bright light shined, the stone door rumbled. It slowly opened, revealing the passage inside. As the stone door opened, an ancient aura came out, surrounding the area. Wang Lin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He raised his head and immediately saw the entrance to the other world. This was the greatest secret of the tattoo clan. This place was the 19th layer. When the stone door was opened, that ancient aura was mixed in. Wang Lin clearly felt this, and without hesitation, he hit the side of the wall. Thunderous rumble echoed. Borrowing this force, Wang Lin flew out toward the open stone door. In an instant, he entered the 19th layer of the tattoo clan that no one else had entered after it was sealed countless years ago. The moment he entered, the stone door slowly closed. Wang Lin didn't turn around. His mind trembled from what he saw before him. The place he was in wasn't the real layer but a strange passage. The 19th layer was at the end of the passage. This passage was formed by increasingly large circles, and they spread out as you walked forward. This wasn't enough to shock Wang Lin, but each of these rings was the same as the tattoo on the stone door. They were formed after celestial and ancient energy were fused together. It was because of their existence and them being connected to the stone door that the circular tattoo had appeared. How was this place formed? Wang Lin looked ahead. Even though he had gone to many places and seen many strange worlds, he was still shocked. The larger the circle in the tunnel, the greater the rejection force. There was also a sharp spiritual energy here. The deeper Wang Lin went, the more he felt like he was being locked onto by a sharp sword. The area outside the circles was completely dark, and not even divine sense could spread out. However, Wang Lin's pupils shrank as he looked over and vaguely noticed something. There is dirt outside the rings that make up this tunnel. Wang Lin's mind was in disarray. He was deep within planet Suzaku, so it was natural to see dirt. However, when he entered the door, he felt like he had entered another world. When he saw dirt, he had an indescribable feeling. After silently pondering for a moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Since he had come here, he had to see what this place was like. Wang Lin charged through the passage toward the end. The circles before Wang Lin gradually became larger and larger until they were thousands of feet wide. The ancient and celestial energies became even stronger, along with the sharp spiritual energy. The surroundings were cold, but there were no sign of ice. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Lin saw the last circle. He arrived at the end of the passage. The circle was tens of thousands of feet wide. Standing here, Wang Lin looked back and couldn't see the stone door. All he could see were the circles that were getting smaller and smaller. While pondering, Wang Lin turned around and stepped toward the last circle. He turned and stepped into the center of the circle with a boom. Then he saw it. The year of the dragon is approaching. Leo's year is coming fast, fervently shouting for the like button for the VIDEO, wishing to be drowned in happiness by the likes for the VIDEO. Chapter 1576. Reason. He saw sky. The sky was calm, with no clouds or wind. It was like a blue picture hanging in the air. However, there was a giant hole to the left of the sky. This hole was tens of thousands of feet wide. It was a shocking sight. It was like a piece of paper that had a hole poked through. There was even debris along the edge. In the hole, he saw something that was tens of thousands of feet thick, and the part that was outside the hole was hundreds of thousands of feet long. It was an arrow. This arrow penetrated through this sky, but it was half stuck inside. Under this sky was a vast earth. There were no mountains. It was a bare plain that seemed to go on forever. It was as if a powerful force had come through and destroyed this place, leaving nothing but death. Wang Lin appeared above this earth and looked directly at the arrow. Wang Lin's entire body was startled there. A chilly aura came from the arrow and bombarded the area between his eyebrows. This caused his body to tremble violently. At this moment, his left eye felt violent pain. The ancient inheritance and the memories inside erupted like a storm. Blood flowed out from Wang Lin's left eye and fell on his clothes. Li Guang shot down my left eye. That left eye contained all my thoughts and memories of my hometown. That voice in Wang Lin's mind became louder and louder until it became a roar. Give me back my left eye. Wang Lin's body trembled, and his face was filled with confusion and struggle. The scene in his memory was something he couldn't forgot. In that scene, Li Guang held the bow with his left hand and pulled the string with his right. The arrow shot out with a monstrous howl. That arrow broke through the void and the ancient spell. It shot through his head and took the left eye before disappearing among the stars. After a long time, Wang Lin coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body trembled, and he retreated a few steps before sitting down to cultivate. He cultivated for a long time, and after an unknown amount of time passed, he let out a breath of foul gas. He opened his eyes and looked at the arrow in the sky with a complicated expression. Yi Mo's left eye is not here. Only this arrow. Wang Lin looked at the arrow. He had to admit his guess was only half correct. Aside from Yi Mo's left eye, which had the ancient aura, and the bow which had the celestial energy, there was one more thing that could contain the rejection force. That was the arrow. Wang Lin looked at the dried black blood marks on the arrow and felt the ancient aura coming from it. This blood was from Yi Mo's left eye. He saw that the tip of the arrow wasn't T-sharp like a thorn, but round like a ring. This wasn't a piercing arrow, and the circle looked like a seal. Precious things must be hidden in a place no one can find. The kind of treasure that you can use must especially be hidden well. Once it is discovered, it could cause a disaster for your entire clan. The tattoo clan hid it very well. Wang Lin looked at the arrow in the sky. He understood a lot now. Various scenes appeared in his head. These connected with his memories, forming the whole situation. Yi Mo had used his spell to kill countless people before him. Li Guang's arrow had pierced through his left eye and taken it away. It then flew off into the stars, into the endless void. That arrow was very large, and the power inside could pierce Yi Mo's left eye, much less space. As it flew, nothing could stop it at all. At that time, there was no realm ceiling formation. As it flew, it penetrated several large cultivation planets, causing them to collapse before it disappeared into the distance. However, as the arrow flew, the left eye fell in the outer or inner realm. It fell into the vastness of space and went somewhere unknown. When the arrow arrived in the inner realm, not much of its power remained. It pierced through into a separate space someone had set up at an unknown time. This separate space was what Wang Lin was seeing right now. Perhaps there were many beasts and plants before. Perhaps there were cultivators here, and this place was once filled with life. However, on the day the arrow arrived, it broke through the sky, forming that giant hole. Due to most of its power having dissipated, it was stuck inside the hole it had created. As the giant arrow pierced through the sky, the remaining killing intent released and fused with the ancient blood. This was the fusion of celestial energy and ancient energy, forming that shocking rejection force. This rejection force didn't collapse but gathered at the tip and then was absorbed by the seal at the tip of the arrow. It would then turn into rings and shoot toward the earth below. At the beginning, these rings were the same as the tip of the arrow, tens of thousands of feet wide. However, the further the rings went, the smaller they became. The rings pierced through the earth and got smaller and smaller as they made their way underground. Finally, the ring would only be the size of a fist, which was what Wang Lin had seen on the stone door. As the rings spread, they would into storms that swept this area. All the mountains collapsed and all the rivers dried up. The dried-up rivers' paths shattered. The ocean here flew into the air and dissipated. The basin that was ocean disappeared as if a giant hand had flattened it. The countless beasts all died tragically and their flesh dissipated. Perhaps they didn't even have time to let out cries before they died. There was no need to talk about the vegetation. It turned to ashes and flew away with the storm. There was also the cultivators that might have existed there. It might have been one person, a sect, or a lot. However, they all died in this storm. The storm stirred up the world and destroyed everything. That's why this world was flat but filled with death aura. This world was hidden within space. It was due to the celestial energy from the arrow that no one could find it. It wasn't until after the realm ceiling formation appeared, and the inner and outer realms had battled countless times, that on a certain day, someone from the outer realm calculated its vague position. As a result, the tattoo clan entered. Perhaps the sovereign's daughter's purpose was to scheme against Qing Lin, or perhaps her real purpose was to find this arrow. After enduring many twists and turns, the tattoo clan found this world where the arrow was. However, they also found that they couldn't dissipate this rejection force. so they were unable to control it. They sealed this place. Perhaps the sealing extermination clan had helped them. In the end, they left that door here. That door was placed in an ingenious spot and used the circle to form the first seal on the door. They were waiting for the sovereign to personally come and take this arrow. However, during this time, a huge upheaval occurred. The sovereigness' daughter was sealed by Wang Lin in the demon spirit land. The tattoo clan was slaughtered by the 4 celestial realms and left in ruins. A portion of the clan members were taken as slaves by the celestials and became the chosen immortal clan. A group of them left and came to planet Suzaku and survived here. That door was in their hands and was buried here. The truth gradually dissipated and was replaced with a legend that the 19th layer was sealing a portion of their ancestor's soul. Perhaps the sovereign had come here before. He was willing to enter the sealed realm no matter the cost. Maybe aside from killing the lord of the sealed realm, he had also come for the arrow the tattoo clan found. However, the roar from the inner realm broke the sovereign's plan. It terrified him, and he was forced out from the inner realm with serious injuries. This arrow remained here forever, and was sealed by the tattoo clan for countless years. Eventually, not even Yunkezi knew the truth, until Wang Lin's arrival. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He didn't know if his guess was correct. This was all formed by connecting things he knew. Perhaps this was the truth. While silently pondering, Wang Lin took a step forward. With that step, Wang Lin arrived next to the arrow that was half sticking out of the sky. Beside it, Wang Lin looked very small. It was like a person next to a mountain. He took a deep breath and sat down on the giant arrow. He then pointed at the dried ancient blood and closed his eyes. The ancient god's stars between his eyebrows rotated rapidly, and he began to absorb. He was going to absorb the blood from Yimo's left eye. This blood contained a very well-hidden demonic energy. This demonic energy was very useful to Wang Lin. As he absorbed, Wang Lin waved his left hand and his storage space appeared. The ancient demon statue appeared, and his left hand grabbed it. 6,000 words in a major chapter, wishing for sharing, for likes on the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1577. Foreign. Time slowly passed. There wasn't too much blood in the left eye left, and as time passed, most of its power dissipated. However, the left eye was formed by a 9-star ancient demon, so although there wasn't too much blood, it was still great nourishment for Wang Lin. The ancient demon power refined from the blood entered Wang Lin's body through his right arm. After making a cycle around his body, it went into the ancient demon statue in his left hand. That ancient demon statue gave off a demonic red glow as if it was awakening, and it continued to absorb the ancient demon power. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days until the 10th day. Perhaps the time here flowed differently from outside, but Wang Lin felt like 10 days had passed. The ancient blood before him slowly dried up, but the ancient demon statue beside him was like heaven and earth compared to before. Ancient demon stars gradually appeared in his left eye. 1 to 5 ancient demon stars appeared. The demonic red light it gave off almost colored the entire world. On the 11th day, the ancient blood collapsed into red fragments and floated before Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he waved his right hand without hesitation. He immediately pulled all the red blood fragments into his hand, so now his hand looked like a dark red blood palm. He looked at the ancient demon statue and pressed his palm between its eyebrows. There was a thunderous bang when the palm landed. All the dried blood fragments in Wang Lin's palm entered the ancient demon statue. This caused the statue to release a shocking amount of demonic energy that howled through the sky. At this moment, the 5 ancient demon stars in its left eye flashed rapidly and a faint 6th vortex appeared. This vortex was rapidly condensing toward a real 6th star. There wasn't too much ancient blood here, and over the years most of the power has dissipated, but I still have that other ancient demon. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his left hand reached out to open a rift to his storage space. He took out the ancient demon he had captured from Blood God. This ancient demon was sealed and was asleep. Wang Lin ripped away the seal, and the moment he awakened, Wang Lin's hand landed on his body. A thunderous bang rang out, and the ancient demon stars in the ancient demon's left eye collapsed. A surge of demonic energy moved toward the ancient demon statue under Wang Lin's control. After fusing with the demonic energy, the ancient demon was red enough that it looked like blood. The sixth ancient demon star directly formed, and the vortex for the seventh star appeared. With the last of the blood from Yimo's left eye and the power from the ancient demon inside blood god, Wang Lin's ancient demon statue was able to from its seventh star. Just as Wang Lin had promised, he didn't kill the ancient demon inside blood god but kept his soul. The ancient demon was sealed and placed in Wang Lin's storage space. Wang Lin was going to release the ancient demon after exiting this place. Since I can find Yimo's left eye, I'll raise my own. Wang Lin could feel a powerful blood connection when he looked at the ancient demon statue. He waved his sleeve and put the bright red statue inside his storage space. After doing all of this, Wang Lin looked at the giant arrow below him, and his eyes lit up. This arrow now belongs to me. With the Li Guang Bao, I wonder how powerful it will be. Wang Lin slowly placed his right hand on the arrow. He endured the rejection force inside his body and used the celestial bloodline power inside his body. The moment the celestial energy moved, his body trembled. Golden light came from his origin soul, and his body seemed to become transparent. A bow slowly appeared from his body. This bow was like Wang Lin's tendons, and gave off bursts of golden light from his body. At this moment, Wang Lin was that bow. The moment the bow appeared, the giant arrow below Wang Lin trembled. It seemed to sense the bow, and a powerful arrow energy erupted from the arrow and shot toward Wang Lin. At this instant, Wang Lin felt an ancient soul. This soul was the soul of the arrow. It seemed to have awakened from its slumber and rushed into Wang Lin's body. It made contact with the bow. Wang Lin remained calm and slowly said, "Smaller." The moment he spoke, the giant arrow trembled and shrank. The arrow immediately slid out from the hole and dropped tens of thousands of feet before it got stuck once more. A bit smaller. Wang Lin's voice was cold, and the arrow trembled as it shrank a lot more. As it shrank, it continued to fall from the hole until it landed on the ground. A thunderous rumble echoed when the arrow fell on the ground, stabbing into the earth. The arrow trembled, and Wang Lin landed on the end of the arrow, where the 9 feathers were. These 9 feathers were very soft. Wang Lin stood on the arrow and his body bobbed up and down as the arrow trembled. After shrinking twice, the arrow was still 100,000 feet long and thousands of feet wide. It was like a giant pillar stabbed into the earth diagonally. As Wang Lin stood on the arrow, he looked at the hole in the sky. It was completely black inside, leading to an unknown place. The edges of the hole were slowly moving. It was actually slowly healing. "This place is strange." Wang Lin lowered his head. His right hand formed a seal and then pointed at the arrow. Smaller, smaller, smaller. The giant arrow trembled once more and shrank rapidly. Eventually, it started shining. Wang Lin landed on the ground, and the arrow was now normal-sized. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and the arrow flew into his hand. Holding this arrow, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He saw 4 runes on the arrow. They were slender and spread across the entire arrow, giving off a faint glow. These 4 runes are related to the soul and can increase the power of the arrow. Back then, Li Kuang used this arrow to shoot out Yimo's left eye. I wonder what souls he used. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before his left hand pointed at his forehead. His ancient god stars appeared and the Emperor Furnace flew out. The moment the giant Emperor Furnace appeared, it started rotating slowly. Wang Lin could clearly see the souls of 2 people inside the furnace. Esteemed Nanzhao, esteemed teacher Tianzhao. Their souls were being suppressed inside the Emperor Furnace by Wang Lin. I'll use their souls to reinforce this arrow. Wang Lin's expression remained indifferent, and his left hand pointed at the Emperor Furnace. The furnace trembled, the lid opened, and their souls flew out. Before they could escape, Wang Lin's left hand grabbed them. Their souls screamed as Wang Lin pressed them into the arrow in his right hand. The runes on the arrow trembled violently, and their souls stopped screaming. Their souls fused with 2 of the runes, and at this moment, a heaven-shaking aura erupted from the arrow. This aura was very strong, so much so that even Wang Lin was shocked. There are still 2 souls to go. As for which souls to seal, Wang Lin pondered, and his left hand reached out. The rift to his storage space appeared, and a giant pavilion flew out. This was the Earth Palace Wang Lin had found in the ancient tomb. There were several windows inside this pavilion. Back then, Wang Lin saw 3 powerful souls inside. Unless it was the last resort, it couldn't be opened. At this moment, Wang Lin stared at the Earth Palace and the 3 souls inside. After pondering for a bit, instead of acting recklessly, he put the Earth Palace away. Those 3 souls are too powerful. They were Yimo's enemies he sealed back in his homeland. If I released them now, with my current power, I would suffer. While pondering, Wang Lin's gaze fell on the circle at the tip of the arrow. Wang Lin looked at it for several hours. This circle was the key to the rejection force formed by the fusion of celestial and ancient energies. However, after a long time, Wang Lin still couldn't see through the mystery of this circle. He let out a sigh and gave up observing. He then waved his right hand and the arrow dissipated into 7 strands of light that entered his body through his orifices. After putting away the arrow, Wang Lin looked around. He took a step and his body entered the earth. He followed the rings and headed toward the stone gate. He was extremely calm and calmly arrived at the last circle where the stone door was. He didn't hesitate to wave his right hand to open the stone door. He then stepped through and returned the 18th layer. Standing in the layer, Wang Lin looked back at the stone door and the stone door closed. He placed many seals before he was ready to leave. I need to refine the Tao fruits to allow my life and death, karma, and true and false essences reach completion. Wang Lin turned to leave, but then he suddenly stopped. His gaze fell on the wall that had been hit by the force he had used to open the stone door. That wall was filled with cracks and a large amount of rocks had fallen off. One crack was very deep and seemed to penetrate the wall, revealing the scene behind the wall. Wang Lin's attention had been fully focused on the door, so he hadn't noticed the crack on the wall before. Now that he had calmed down, he immediately noticed that it was strange. His gaze followed the crack, and he faintly saw that the outside was a dark void. The aura that leaked in from the crack was very familiar to Wang Lin. Wang Lin murmured, "Foreign battleground." Nearly 3,800 words, already quite long. Day by day people say it's short, look at others. All are 2,000 words a chapter. Leo is that long, wouldn't you cast a like for Leo's video? Chapter 1578. Heavenly Change. The 18th layer of the Tattoo clan isn't located in the depths of planet Suzaku, but in the foreign battleground. Wang Lin walked up to the wall and pressed his right hand against it. Cracking sounds echoed as the cracks connected and the wall collapsed, revealing a gap. Wang Lin stood inside the gap. Before him was the foreign battleground. The entire foreign battleground was extremely large, almost without limit. Wang Lin saw a few large corpses slowly floating through the endless void. There was a large amount of ghost-like things drilling through the corpses in the distance. There seemed to be storms silently raging. Although they were silent, they seemed to be giving off screams that could be heard by the soul. These storms were formed by these ghost-like things. Wang Lin's mind trembled and his divine sense spread out. He clearly saw that at this moment, he was also near a huge skeleton. This was not the skeleton of a person but of a dragon-like beast. He was located near the skull of this beast. The wall he had broken was part of the beast's skull. He was standing in the skull, looking ahead. If one looked at Wang Lin from inside the foreign battleground, they would clearly see that there were countless corpses surrounding this giant skull. The distant storms closed in, but when they closed in, countless wandering souls scattered in terror. It was as if they were extremely afraid of Wang Lin's existence. Wang Lin was once a soul devourer. Wang Lin stared at the foreign battleground. He had been to too many planets and far too many places, but he had never seen another planet with a foreign battleground like planet Suzaku. It was as if the foreign battleground only belonged to planet Suzaku, only belonged to the cultivators of planet Suzaku. While silently pondering, Wang Lin stepped forward. After more than 2,000 years, he stepped into the foreign battleground that had given him a new life. He could not forget the day he was killed by the Tang family ancestor. Then, with the help of the heaven-defying bead and Situnan, his soul entered his place. He then found Mai Liang's dead body, and that began his new life. After a long time, Wang Lin's divine sane continued to spread across the foreign battleground. He saw too many corpses and too many wandering souls. All the wandering souls screamed and retreated in fear. However, in the end, they could escape and could only tremble before his divine sense. Some of those corpses belonged to cultivators, but most of them were strange beasts. Wang Lin hadn't seen more than half of those beasts. His divine sense spread out more and more, surpassing all the places he had gone before. It even surpassed anywhere the cultivators of planet Suzaku had explored. Wang Lin saw even more corpses. A moment later, Wang Lin's divine sense seemed to touch the edge of the foreign battleground. There seemed to be a faint barrier that confined his divine sense. His eyes lit up. His divine sense didn't stop but continued to push outward. A violent rumble echoed across the foreign battleground. It sounded like a mirror had shattered. Wang Lin's divine sense broke the barrier and saw what was beyond it. It was still the foreign battleground, but it was even bigger. Compared to inside the barrier, it was like comparing the river to the ocean. Wang Lin's mind trembled, and his divine sense continued to spread. In the foreign battleground outside the barrier, Wang Lin saw corpses giving off a golden glow. Those corpses that gave off the golden light were celestials. He saw countless beasts whose corpses were extremely fierce and gave off powerful auras. It was obvious that they were extremely powerful when they were alive. His divine sense spread out even more. He saw the large corpses of mosquitoes. He saw the corpse of a Ji Qiong. And he even saw countless beast corpses that were hundreds of thousands of feet large. Aside from the nether beast, all the other beasts he had seen in his life existed in the foreign battleground. Wang Lin's mind trembled like a wave. His divine sense spread out even more through the endless corpses and finally hit the real edge. His divine sense covered the entire foreign battleground. At this moment, Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he was horrified. When his divine sense covered the entire foreign battleground, he saw that this whole foreign battleground was just a large fragment. This fragment had a strange connection with planet Suzaku, as if planet Suzaku had been born because of it. This fragment had an irregular shape, as if it was part of something. Wang Lin's mind rumbled. At this moment, he thought of the shocking secret the old vermilion bird divine emperor had passed on to him. Planet Suzaku was part of the door. Those words echoed in Wang Lin's mind, and slowly fused with the foreign battleground in his divine sense. After gaining such enlightenment, he immediately recognized the foreign battleground as part of that mysterious door. The door that the four divine sect found. What kind of door is it? Does the ancestor in the fallen land know of this? Wang Lin stood there for a long time and slowly suppressed the shock in his mind. He eventually thought of the silver-haired woman, the mournful scream she let out when she saw the seven-colored Taoist statue. I didn't open the door, Wang Lin silently pondered. He didn't know if the two doors were referring to the same one. He slowly withdrew his divine sense until he returned to his body. He looked at the foreign battleground with a complicated gaze and then left. Wang Lin had found too many things on this trip back to planet Suzaku. These things were overwhelming and made planet Suzaku feel even more unfamiliar. Red Butterfly didn't die. The TH layer in the Tattoo clan was sealing the Li Guang arrow. The foreign battleground from the past was only a small area, and there is a wider world outside. It turns out to be part of the door. Wang Lin sat down on top of a mountain on planet Suzaku. He faced a howling mountain wind as it blew his hair and clothes. There was a complicated gaze in his eyes. As my cultivation level increased, I gradually learned about the secrets of planet Suzaku, so it turns out it's like this. Wang Lin looked at the dark sky before him, and dark clouds gathered. Thunder rumbled in the distance and it began to rain. A white bird quickly flapped its wings and flew before the clouds in an attempt to avoid the dark clouds that were putting it through a life and death crisis. However, there was a thunderous rumble and the bird's body trembled as it was devoured by the rolling black clouds. Seeing this, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he vaguely felt like something was wrong. That rain was moving with the wind and hadn't arrived yet. The gust of wind blew the moist air toward Wang Lin and brought the chill of the rain. It was very cold. This rain was the autumn rain. The sky gradually became completely dark and the thunderous rumbles continued. It seemed to be coming closer and closer to the peak Wang Lin was on. The dark clouds were like black ink spreading across a piece of paper. The rain became even heavier. The clattering of the rain entered Wang Lin's ears, becoming more and more intense. The dust on the ground was supposed to be kicked up by the rain but didn't move at all. The small pebbles around Wang Lin on the mountain would originally be blown away by the wind, but right now there seemed to be an invisible force suppressing them. They remained motionless. A thunderous rumble echoed, and a few more bolts of lightning connected the heavens and earth in the horizon before Wang Lin's size. They lit up the dark clouds, looking like silver snakes or a mark. Looking at the rolling black clouds, Wang Lin let out a deep breath and an inexplicable sense of irritation entered his mind. Wang Lin frowned and suppressed the discoveries he had made on planet Suzaku. Right now he was going to complete his life and death karma and true and false essences. He would then refine the slaughter essence sword Qing Shui had given him and use his 6 essences to break open the void gate. Wang Lin stood up and was about to leave. Behind him, the rolling clouds rushed over as if there was a slaughter god inside staring at Wang Lin. It wanted to devour and destroy him just like the bird. The lightning crisscrossed and flickered. As the rain fell, a killing intent erupted from the black clouds. That killing intent appeared very abruptly. Wang Lin's right foot that had just risen suddenly stopped, and all the hairs on his body stood up. The powerful feeling of a life and death crisis shook his body as he stared at the black clouds. His expression was extremely serious. Something's wrong. The 3 images Wang Lin saw before flashed through his head. The flying bird died, the dust didn't drift, and the pebbles didn't move. This life and death crisis was beyond what he felt in the ancient tomb, and beyond any encounter he had after returning to the inner realm. This was like the life and death calamity that Red Butterfly had brought and was something Wang Lin had to face. Only after surviving this life and death calamity would he be qualified to continue living. This was the enlightenment he had gained the moment he saw the rolling black clouds in the distance. The rolling clouds didn't have real killing intent. This killing intent came from the change in the thunder created by the clouds. It came from Wang Lin's own intuition. This change didn't happen earlier or now, but just as Wang Lin noticed it. It was a heavenly change. Heavenly change? Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He didn't hesitate to spread his divine sense out across the entire planet and rush into space. Once he saw the space outside, his expression changed. The last day of June, wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. A sweep of the like button for the VIDEO each month. The June ticket expires tonight at 12. Chapter 1579. The Lord of the Sealed Realm's Calamity. The space outside planet Suzaku wasn't dark with bright stars but surrounded by a blue light. The entire starry sky was completely blue. It was like a sky curtain. Or you could say a sky suddenly appeared outside planet Suzaku. This was originally impossible, but now it became true. How could there be a sky outside planet Suzaku? It was as if the entire place was shrouded by a heaven-shattering Tao spell that had dragged it into another world. This world was blue. It replaced the star system. There was nothing under the blue sky beside a single planet. This planet was planet Suzaku. Wang Lin's expression changed greatly and his eyes became monstrously cold. His divine sense spread across planet Suzaku and his expression became even more gloomy. At this moment, no life remained on planet Suzaku. Not only cultivators, but even the mortals, grass, and beasts all disappeared completely. At this moment, Wang Lin was the only thing left on planet Suzaku. It wasn't that all the creatures on planet Suzaku had just died or gone missing. The one that had gone missing was Wang Lin. Planet Suzaku was still there in the inner realm, and the countless living beings on it were still carrying out their daily tasks. Zhou Wutai was still drinking while sitting on the statue, and those cultivators were still excited about the Lord of the Sealed Realm's return. On planet Suzaku, on the mountain Wang Lin was sitting on, there was no one there. The sky was blue and calm. There were no dark clouds. This planet Suzaku seemed to be reflected by a mirror and divided into 2. One was in the inner realm, where everything was. The other had no living beings and was completely dead aside from Wang Lin. It was the same mountain, but it was filled with sunshine. Wang Lin stood on the top of the same mountain, but this one was surrounded by rolling black clouds. Thunder roared, and the rain fell. This spell was like stealing from the heavens. Wang Lin looked gloomy as he stepped forward and charged through the rolling black clouds. He left this copy of Planet Suzaku. The moment he walked out, he saw a glaring light coming from the world outside. The endless blue light seemed to be able to penetrate the endless void. Wang Lin stood inside this world. Behind him was the dead planet Suzaku, and before him was a vast world that he could not see the edge of. Not even his divine sense could cover this place. It was like a real endless void. The ground was not earth but a calm water surface. There were no ripples, so it perfectly reflected the blue in the sky. From afar, the vast place Wang Lin was in was like an endless well, a well that had been expanded indefinitely and had no end. A faded voice came from the sky and entered Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin silently pondered and looked up at the sky. His pupils shrank, and he took a deep breath. Popping sounds echoed inside his body, and he released faint golden light as he activated his full cultivation. In the blue sky, the blue light slowly condensed into a blue figure. The figure was wearing blue and was a middle-aged man. He looked at Wang Lin with a complicated gaze and let out a sigh. Wang Lin clasped his hands and calmly said, "Wang Lin greets the Tao Master." Tao Master Blue Dream silently looked at Wang Lin, and time gradually passed. After a long time, the complicated expression in his eyes disappeared and was replaced with determination. Then he slowly spoke up. "The last time the Lord of the Sealed Realm died, I didn't get involved. This time I won't attack you either. This world is formed by all the arcane void cultivators in the outer realm working together. The celestial imperial concubines also helped so that it could break the void and trap you here without anyone in the inner realm noticing. This world can exist for 3 hours. During these 3 hours, you will find it difficult to escape death. This old man knows you, so I showed up to tell you. If you want to blame anything, then blame that you are the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The Lord of the Sealed Realm must die." Tao Master Blue Dream let out a sigh, and his figure turned into specks of blue light that disappeared into the void. When they disappeared, violent ripples appeared in the sky. A person walked out of the ripples. This figure was blurry, and one could only tell it was a gray-robed old man. This old man's gaze was like lightning, and contained a hint of killing intent. The moment he appeared, he raised his right hand and pointed at Wang Lin. "Although this old man can use my full cultivation, even if it's just mid-stage spirit void, you will die just like the Lord of the Sealed Realm in the past." With this point, the world changed colors and a gust howled across the world. A gray line appeared, and soon turned into a gray dragon. It was fierce and charged at Wang Lin at an unimaginable speed. What was even more shocking was that this dragon contained chaotic Joss flames. As the Joss flames condensed, shocking and shrilling roars came from the gray dragon. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his expression became extremely serious. He no longer considered his life and death calamity at this moment. This time he would pass if he lived, and even if he dies, he would still pass. This was the calamity of the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The previous Lord of the Sealed Realm had died to the encirclement of many outer realm third-step cultivators. Like a reincarnation cycle, this calamity reappeared for Wang Lin today. 3 hours! The gray dragon closed in. Wang Lin stepped forward without hesitation and pointed at the sky. Call the Wind appeared in this blue world and turned into 13 extremely powerful black dragons. The 13 black dragons let out roars and revealed a faint golden glow as they shot toward the gray dragon. Golden color. The gray-robed old man's eyes narrowed. They collided in an instant and a thunderous rumble echoed. The gray dragon twisted as it entangled with the 13 black dragons. The roar shook the heavens and earth. Under this impact, Wang Lin's long hair fluttered and he retreated several feet. His face became pale, and he raised his right fist. He didn't attack forward but turned around and threw a punch. Just as he turned around, a ripple echoed and an old woman with a blurry figure appeared. The old woman had a gloomy expression as she raised her dried-up right hand and pointed at Wang Lin's back. However, what greeted her was Wang Lin's punch. The punch and her finger collided an instant later. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he coughed out blood while being knocked to the side. The old woman trembled, and the fingernail on her right index finger collapsed. There was a flash of coldness in her eyes, and she walked toward Wang Lin. "You have some skills." Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were calm. He knew that the calamity today would be very difficult to pass, and that the 3 hours before him were like a deep gully. However, it was impossible for him to accept his death. "No one can control my fate, not even a life and death calamity." At this moment, as he retreated, his right hand pointed at the sky. Golden light appeared out of thin air and condensed into a palm print. Golden light again. The gray-robed old man's pupils shrank. Even the black-robed old woman squinted. However, just as the palm print appeared, a shocking sword energy appeared behind Wang Lin. This sword energy was extremely cold and formed an icicle behind Wang Lin. This icicle came from the void and shot toward Wang Lin, creating crackling sounds on its way. There was a blue short sword at the front of the icicle. This short sword was too fast. When it appeared, Wang Lin used the war spirit print. The ice of the heavens and earth shot toward Wang Lin. Endless light gathered around Wang Lin. A giant light shadow appeared around him as the blue sword closed in. The blue sword collided with the light shadow. Cracking sounds echoed and the light and shadow shield became a giant ice sculpture. The cold sword pierced through the ice sculpture and rushed at Wang Lin with monstrous killing intent. A thunderous bang rang out and Wang Lin's war spirit print was interrupted. He coughed out blood once more and his body was thrown forward. Behind him the icicle chased after him. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy, and there was a flash of bloodlight in his hand. He waved his hand, and the blood sword shot toward the cold sword. From afar this scene looked extremely shocking. This was a confrontation between the bloodlight and the cold ice. This was a confrontation between survival and killing intent. In a flash, the two swords collided. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Miserable screams came from the two swords. The cold sword trembled as it split in half and was knocked back. The blood sword trembled, and the bloodlight collapsed. Wang Lin grabbed the blood sword and stared ahead. A man in white slowly walked out beside the cold sword that was split in half. He looked at Wang Lin with a merciless gaze. "Quickly, finish this battle." The man's words were as cold as his appearance. As he moved forward, the gray-robed old man and the black-robed old woman charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin quickly retreated. Although their cultivation was suppressed here, 3 mid-stage spirit void cultivators was not something Wang Lin could resist. While he retreated, Wang Lin pointed at the sky. The interrupted war spirit print appeared once more. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a golden glow and released intense battle intent. "Since you want to battle, then let us battle." Wang Lin's voice was calm. The more dangerous it was, the more crazy he would become. But his mind would become calm as well. This was a habit he had developed during his cultivation path over the past 2,000+ years. At this moment, he waved at the sky, and the world rumbled as the golden light shined. The huge palm print gave off a golden glow and descended. Before the palm print even got close, a powerful pressure descended. This was the most authentic war spirit print. In the palm print, the lines on the palm were visible like mountain ranges as it smashed down. "What the hell is this golden light? It gives me a faint feeling of terror." The gray-robed old man stared at the golden light coming from the war spirit print. In dreams, Leo sees his video standing in 3rd place on the popular charts. Hoping to garner more fan support and looking for help from you all to climb even higher in the rankings this month. The moment the golden palm print appeared, Wang Lin took a step forward. Ripples echoed and he suddenly appeared above the palm. He bit the top of his tongue and spat out golden blood into the palm print, causing its golden light to intensify. "If you want to kill me, then you all must pay the price." Wang Lin let out a roar and his expression became fierce. His right hand pressed down and the golden palm print descended. The pressure from the palm print caused vortexes to appear on the water below. The gray-robed old man's eyes lit up. The moment the war spirit print closed in, he waved his hand and a round bottle appeared in his grasp. The bottle was transparent and was filled with yellow soil. He waved his hand and the soil flew out. More and more soil flew out until the mass of soil gathered was hundreds of feet wide. Earth essence, spirit burial. As the old man spoke, the soil rushed into the air toward Wang Lin's golden war spirit print. At the same time, the black-robed woman calmly waved her hand. Her nails extended and flew off her fingertips. Then 9 rays of black light shot out. Inside the black lights were 9 ghosts standing on the 9 nails as if they were flying swords. They rushed forward with the monstrous soil. The cold-looking man in black stared at the war spirit print descending and bit his right hand so that blood flowed out. He quickly drew a seal with his blood, and the blood seal quickly froze. He then threw the seal. The heavens and earth trembled. This was the collision of spells from 3rd step cultivators. Wang Lin's war spirit print collided with the monstrous soil. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the soil covered the entire palm print. At the same time, the 9 nails pierced through the soil toward the palm print. Shortly after, the frozen blood mark from the man in white suddenly closed in. The moment it touched the soil, it collapsed, Then a cold energy surrounded the soil and froze the whole thing. Earth collapse. Soul slaughter. Freeze. The three stood below and looked at the palm print that was surrounded by their spells. They spoke almost at the same time. Then a thunderous rumble echoed, and the palm print shattered. The 5 fingers fell like mountains. As it collapsed, a powerful impact spread. Wang Lin coughed out blood and was pushed back. 9 nails stabbed into his body, and the wounds showed sign of turning to dirt. A cold aura spread through his body with the intent to kill. His eyes were blood red, and he coughed out blood once more as he retreated. In this short period of time, he was already seriously injured. Wang Lin revealed a miserable smile, but his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. His right hand reached at the void and a bottle of pills appeared in his hand. Just as he was about to swallow them, the 3 below stepped forward. They seemed to break through the void, instantly closing in on Wang Lin. The gray-robed old man revealed a serious expression. He didn't know what the golden light was, but he felt like he had seen it before. He appeared on Wang Lin's left and he raised his right index finger. There was a flash of yellow light and it seemed as if his entire finger was made of soil. He pointed directly at the area between Wang Lin's eyebrows. As he pointed forward, countless Joss flame souls rushed out. The countless Joss flame souls turned into grains of soil and surround Wang Lin. They were going to destroy Wang Lin like the war spirit print. At the same time, the black-robed old woman appeared on Wang Lin's right. Her eyes lit up and her right hand pressed down toward Wang Lin's chest. Joss flame souls formed ghosts inside her 5 fingers. They let out cruel roars as they shot toward Wang Lin. It was as if this old woman's fingers contained hell itself and were filled with monstrous killing intent. The indifferent man in white stepped out before Wang Lin. His expression was still cold and ruthless as he raised his right hand. Cold energy gathered, and he slammed down on Wang Lin's head. "It's over," the man said softly. The 3 of them attacked at once and charged at Wang Lin. At this critical moment, Wang Lin's ancient god stars flashed rapidly, and the Emperor Furnace appeared. It collided with their killing moves and trembled. It then collapsed into specks of light and returned to Wang Lin's ancient god star. Using the moment that the Emperor Furnace blocked, Wang Lin let out a roar and the light and shadow shield appeared once more. It spread outwards, but it only lasted for a moment before shattering. All of this happened too fast. It had only been a few breaths of time since the beginning of the attack. In such a short period of time, Wang Lin had experienced countless life and death situations. He couldn't even use many of his spells and magic treasures. Even his war spirit print was interrupted once. Wang Lin had to divide his mind to observe his surroundings. He didn't believe that there were only 3 people here to kill him. Killing him now was just like when they killed the previous lord of the sealed realm, a big move by the entire outer realm. The sovereign still hadn't appeared. The imperial celestial concubines hadn't attacked yet. This was the biggest danger Wang Lin had faced in his life. This was a death calamity. The moment the light and shadow shield collapsed, there was a flash of light from Wang Lin's right arm. The ancient gauntlet appeared. He needed time to use more spells, but the enemies weren't giving him that chance. Since they weren't going to give him the chance, he had to create it himself. As their killing moves closed in on him, the gauntlet on his right arm erupted with a powerful ancient god power. This ancient god power was astonishing, and the giant ancient god shadow that had protected him several times appeared. That ancient god shadow was covered in scars, but that warm feeling was still there. That ancient god shadow that held up the sky appeared, and the trio's attacks landed on its body. Time seemed to stop, and the ancient god shadow trembled and seemed to look down at Wang Lin. Its body collapsed, and at the same time, all the ancient god stars between its eyebrows exploded. An extremely powerful ancient power erupted from its body and pushed toward the 3 people behind it. Their expressions all changed, and they coughed out blood while being forced to retreat. Before their eyes, the huge ancient god shadow quickly dissipated. First its legs, then its body. In an instant, only the right arm holding Wang Lin was left. It threw Wang Lin at the water below. After it threw Wang Lin, the right hand dissipated. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with sorrow and blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. His body was surrounded by an ancient god aura as he fell into the water. A large ripple spread out on the water's surface. Those 3 stared at the water. After adjusting themselves, killing intent filled their eyes once more, and they were about to give chase. Inside the water, Wang Lin's ancient gauntlet on his right arm shattered and dissipated. His eyes were filled with sorrow and contained a hint of madness. The three chased after him and were about to enter the water. A shocking vortex suddenly appeared in this calm water. A giant fist of water shot out toward the man in white. The man in white's eyes lit up and his hand slammed down on the water first. A cold aura spread out and the fist became ice before collapsing. However, Wang Lin let out a roar as he charged through everything, and his right fist collided with that palm. This punch was the strongest punch Wang Lin could throw while ignoring the rejection force inside his body. The ancient head appeared behind Wang Lin and thunderous rumbles echoed as the man in white was knocked back several thousand feet. He coughed out a mouthful of blood. Golden blood sprayed out of Wang Lin's body, but he didn't stop. After forcing back the man in white, he stepped toward the gray-robed old man. He raised his right hand, and the golden thunder in his right eye flashed. The blue sky was filled with endless thunder, and monstrous amounts of thunder gathered in Wang Lin's hand as he smashed toward the old man. The old man couldn't escape at all. He was instantly hit by the golden thunder. This thunder was filled with celestial energy, making it celestial thunder. As the power surged, the old man's expression changed. He quickly retreated as the golden thunder swam through his body and he coughed out blood. Celestial energy! This is celestial energy! The old man retreated in horror. He finally remembered what this gold light was. Wang Lin's injuries were even worse. He was desperate and ignored the rejection force in his body. Fire surged out from his left eye, and his left palm hit the old woman in black. The endless golden fire surged out and surrounded the old woman. Blood flew out of her mouth and she quickly retreated. Her eyes were filled with the same terror. She was terrified of what the gray-robed old man had said. Celestial energy. Wang Lin had suffered serious injuries to push the three of them, but this had bought valuable time. Wang Lin retreated and pointed at the sky with a fierce expression. Realm burning umbrella. Open to destroy the realm. The blue sky darkened and a giant umbrella pole appeared. The blue sky became its canopy. From afar, this looked like a blue umbrella. However, just as this umbrella appeared, a sea of fire appeared and surrounded the umbrella, turning it into a realm-burning umbrella. From yesterday until now, Leo has only slept for 2 hours. Can't take it anymore. Today there's only the first watch. Leo wants to catch up on sleep. After the salon ends, the missing chapters will be compensated. The moment the ancient umbrella appeared, monstrous realm-burning fire appeared in the sky and rapidly plummeted downward. Before this fire, the world became distorted. It was as if everything had become fragmented and was going to be torn apart. Dense smoke appeared and roared with the fire. The expressions of those three changed greatly. With this monstrous fire incoming, they wouldn't have time to kill Wang Lin, so they quickly retreated. The appearance of this fire umbrella made them feel like they were in a life-and-death crisis. Although they were only here as projections and their original bodies wouldn't die if they died here, if their projections died, they would be seriously injured and would need time to recover. At this moment, the three of them retreated in fear. Lord of the Sealed Realm. This person is indeed worthy of being the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He is able to use a realm destruction spell with his current cultivation level. The gray-robed old man's expression changed greatly. The previous Lord of the Sealed Realm was extremely difficult to kill. I didn't expect this generation to be the same. The old woman in black took a deep breath and looked at Wang Lin with powerful killing intent. However, she rapidly retreated. The realm-burning umbrella was a spell that shouldn't belong in this world. Wang Lin also hadn't fully comprehended it, so the amount of vitality consumed was incredibly large. The sea of fire that came out from the umbrella came from his life force, so his face rapidly aged. However, the coldness in his eyes didn't decrease, but became stronger. You want to escape? Do you think you can escape? If you want to kill me, you haven't paid enough of a price. Wang Lin let out a roar and even more of this life force was sacrificed for the ancient umbrella. The realm-burning fire became even stronger, and then turned a big mouth that devoured everything before it. The man in white was deathly pale, and as he retreated, he clenched his teeth and hit his forehead. A snowflake mark appeared on his forehead. The moment this mark appeared, a chilling aura appeared in this world and resisted the sea of fire. At the same time, the man reached at his mark and pulled it out. He threw it at the ancient umbrella that was releasing large amounts of fire. With this old man's life force as Tao, with the soul of ice and snow as heaven, with the coldness as the catalyst, eternal ice, the man in white clearly had a higher standing than the other two. He was someone who was just below the 5 masters of the ancient star system. The world changed colors when he attacked. In this well-like world, as the cold aura spread, cracking sounds came from the surface of the water. The coldness increased, and the ice spread in all directions. In the blink of an eye, ice covered a boundless area. The large amount of ice emitted wisps of cold energy that confronted the sea of fire, making the entire world tremble. A snowflake mark 100 feet wide appeared in the sky where the ancient umbrella was. The sky rumbled and then was completely frozen. The sky was frozen. The earth was frozen. Snowflakes appeared in this world. As the man roared and pointed with his right hand, all the snowflakes in the world rushed toward the ancient umbrella. All the white snowflakes moved to form a storm around the ancient umbrella. The ancient umbrella was covered in fire, so the snowflakes melted rapidly. Then the melted snow fell like rain. At this instant, endless coldness came from the frozen water and fused with the coldness coming from the sky. This coldness shot toward the ancient umbrella. Cracking sounds echoed, and the fire from the ancient umbrella was frozen. Even the ancient umbrella itself became an ice sculpture. Countless icicles formed from the melted soul under the ancient umbrella. They gave off endless amounts of cold light. Countless icicles came from the sky and earth to connect with the frozen ancient umbrella. It was a shocking sight. The man let out a big breath, and the 2 people retreating also stopped. However, at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he pointed at the frozen ancient umbrella. After sacrificing a large amount of his life force, muffled rumbles came from the umbrella. The middle-aged man's expression changed once more, and he retreated with terror in his eyes. The other 2 that had stopped also quickly retreated, their scalps tingling. The sea of fire inside the ice rushed out, and the ice collapsed. The first to collapse were the icicles connected to the sky. Then came the icicles connected to the earth. Finally, the ice around the ancient umbrella collapsed and was scattered in all directions. Killing intent flooded Wang Lin's eyes, and he pointed at the escaping old woman. As he pointed, a portion of the sea of fire that had collided with the ice separated and shot toward the old woman. Her face turned pale and her hand formed a seal. However, her body was instantly devoured by fire and her scream echoed. After the fire swept by, her projection body collapsed. The moment she was killed by the realm-burning umbrella in the eternal floating palace in the ancient star system. There were several people sitting next to the well inside the hall. One of them was the old woman. She suddenly opened her eyes and coughed out a mouthful of blood. She stared at the well before her. This well showed the world Wang Lin was in. After a long time, the old woman raised her head and looked into the depths of the hall. "Give me an explanation." "It's not the time this child has something in his hand," an old voice came from within the depths of the hall. The old woman silently pondered. She no longer spoke, and her gaze looked at the world inside the well. The fire inside the well spread out. After killing the old woman in black, it surged forward as Wang Lin pointed. The fire divided into 2, racing toward the gray-robed old man and the man in white. These 2 masses of fire were like fire dragons, and one of them got close to the gray-robed old man. His expression changed, and his hands formed a seal before hitting his forehead. A large amount of yellow light appeared and turned into layers of earth around him. The sea of fire arrived and devoured him. Thunderous rumbles echoed until the sea of fire left, leaving a giant ball of earth. Cracking sounds echoed, and then the ball of earth collapsed, revealing the old man inside. The old man coughed out a large amount of blood and looked dispirited. He was seriously injured but hadn't died. He looked at the sea of fire and revealed a bitter smile. His right hand took out a jade and crushed it. His body dissipated just as the sea of fire was about to devour him. Although he had coughed out blood, it was only an illusion, so even though he had coughed it out, there was no trace of it. In the hall in the ancient star system, there was a gray-robed old man sitting next to the old woman. At this moment, he opened his eyes and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He bitterly shook his head. We've underestimated him. In the well world, the last fire from the ancient umbrella swept over the man in white. He was covered in a large amount of ice, and as the fire swept by, large amounts of ice melted and reformed around him. He was knocked back and stopped hundreds of feet away. As the layers of ice around him reformed, they formed a seal that trapped the fire. Wang Lin's face had aged greatly. He had sacrificed too much life force with this use of the realm-burning umbrella, otherwise it wouldn't have had this much power. The rejection force inside him made his entire body tremble. At this moment, as his life force weakened, the ancient umbrella no longer had the power it had before and slowly dissipated. Killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He no longer considered if he could survive this life and death calamity. So what if I die? I am already sick of cultivating. Killing a few more before I go is enough. Wang Lin's hair was disheveled and he was going all out. He charged toward the man in the ice. He was going to kill. However, just as Wang Lin closed in on the man in white, his pupils shrank, and he suddenly looked up. A person silently walked out from the void above the man inside the ice. This person was a woman who had a blurry figure, but her eyes revealed coldness. She raised her jade-like hand, stretched out her fingers, and pressed toward Wang Lin. 5 burial celestial Tao. First are the kidneys. Kidneys decay to injure. The woman's voice was soft, but as she spoke, her pinky bent and touched her palm. Wang Lin's body trembled. He faintly felt a strange force surround the world. As the strange force spread out, his kidneys gave off a burst of indescribable pain. Wang Lin coughed out blood and subconsciously retreated. If his body was transparent, you would see his kidneys rapidly withering. Not even his ancient god body's recovery rate could heal it. When he retreated the 3rd step, his 2 kidneys rapidly withered into a pool of blood and disappeared from his body. Under this intense pain, Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot and his body trembled. However, the killing intent in his eyes reached a peak thanks to this pain. The second is the lung. The lung dies as the end. As the woman spoke, the ring finger bent to touch her palm. The third is the spleen. The spleen breaks to rot. After the ring finger, her middle finger bent to touch her palm. Aimlessly wishing for the like button for the video. The fourth is the liver. Liver, melt, and shatter. The woman's index finger bent to touch her palm. Her words were gentle, but they were filled with cruel killing intent. Wang Lin continuously coughed out several mouthfuls of bloods and was knocked back. The lungs in his chest withered and disappeared inside his body. Without his lungs, he couldn't breathe. The pain caused him to let out muffled groans. After his lungs died, his spleen decayed. Large amounts of blood spread everywhere across his body. The decay of his spleen severely affected his recovery. Wang Lin's body turned pale and spots of blood appeared all over his body. Lastly, his liver melted after she spoke. 4 of his 5 internal organs had dissipated, cutting off his life force. The dissipating ancient umbrella suddenly disappeared without a trace. The 5th is the heart. Without the heart, there is no Tao. The woman calmly looked at Wang Lin. Her thumb slowly bent, and her hand formed a fist. After forming a fist, she gently threw a punch toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt intense pain in his chest. His heart stopped beating and slowly became petrified. In the blink of an eye, it turned to stone. With his heart petrified, the pain he was experiencing was indescribable. Even Wang Lin couldn't help but let out a mournful cry. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the woman threw her punch. Wang Lin's chest caved in and he was knocked back toward the ground, where the ice had melted back to water. Celestial Imperial Concubine! With a bang, Wang Lin fell to the surface of the water but didn't sink. He endured the pain as his right hand hit the surface of the water, and he bounced back up. He attempted to enter the crack in the cloud sea using the jade the mysterious woman had given him, but it had no effect. He tried to summon the nether beast, but there was a seal he couldn't break, and he couldn't sense the nether beast. You have no path to survival, you can escape. But if you kneel and beg, I may be able to give you a chance of life, the woman said gently as she stepped out of the ice and walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face had no blood, and he retreated a few more steps. Wang Lin, won't even kneel to the heavens, so why would I kneel to you? You have humiliated me, so if I don't die today, I'll pay you back 100-fold. Wang Lin's eyes shined. He didn't breath as he endured the pain and pointed at the sky. Call the wind, summon the rain. Magic arsenal. Wang Lin's body gave off a golden glow, and that powerful celestial energy shot toward the sky. The woman had already seen the golden light from Wang Lin. When she saw it again, her beautiful pupils shrank and heavy doubt arose in her heart, but she didn't speak. She stepped forward and moved even faster. She then raised her right hand and pressed it toward Wang Lin no more. The sky rumbled and 13 black dragons that gave off a golden glow appeared and started howling. Then golden rain started to fall. Each drop of rain contained a soul that had died to Wang Lin. As the rain fell, it created a wind and rain world. Although a lot of the souls had dissipated, a lot still remained. They all rushed toward that woman. As the howling echoed, Wang Lin didn't look at the result but continued to retreat. A flash of coldness appeared in his eyes, and he pointed at the sky once more. Mountain crumble, lands collapse. Wang Lin hadn't gained enlightenment in lands collapse, but with his cultivation level he could imitate it. As he pointed, large volcanoes appeared and thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Due to Wang Lin's celestial energy, it made Baifan's spell into a real celestial spell. All of this wasn't enough to resist the celestial imperial concubine. Wang Lin also didn't intend to use these spells to push her back. He was planning to use the last of Baifan's spells, Dark Moon Clear Sky. Wang Lin had only seen Dark Moon Clear Sky, and it was used by Celestial Lord Xianxia in the Seven-Colored Realm in the Summoned River. They were apprentice brothers who had both cultivated Baifan's 6 spells. Wang Lin wasn't as skillful as Xianxia to use the most powerful Dark Moon Clear Sky at will. However, he could force the activation of Dark Moon Clear Sky by using all the spells before it. He had seen it once, so with this current cultivation level and more than 2,000 years of enlightenment, it wasn't difficult to do at least this. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the woman calmly walked out of all these spells. They were useless against her. However, just as she walked out, Wang Lin let out a roar at the sky. Dark Moon Clear Sky. As Wang Lin roared, he pointed at the woman. With this point of his finger, a bright moon appeared on her face. The moment the moon appeared, the woman's expression changed, and her steps stopped for the first time. Dark Moon Sect, the first style, yes. Before Baifan was taken in by that old thing, he was a traitor of the Dark Moon Sect. The dark moon on the woman's face rapidly condensed and cracks appeared on it, as if it wanted to disfigure her. The cracks were shocking and fresh blood flowed out. The woman let out a groan and her eyes turned extremely cold. If you knew the second style, Dark Moon No Rain, and the third style, Dark Moon Cold Wind, then you might be been able to escape death today. However, with just the first style, as long as I kill you, I can remove it. The woman endured the intense pain coming from her face and headed toward Wang Lin. She knew the spells of the Dark Moon Sect. The Dark Moon Sect's spells were extremely vicious. They wouldn't kill immediately, but would continue to inflict more and more pain. The longer they lasted, the more difficult it would be to remove them. At this moment, she charged at Wang Lin and closed in on Wang Lin in an instant. Her hand formed a claw and mercilessly pressed down on Wang Lin. Madness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he raised his right hand. After using Dark Moon Clear Sky, he formed a fist and threw a punch at the woman. This punch contained ancient power, but it also used the most powerful Black Tortoise spell he had learned from the old vermilion bird in the Fallen Land. Waves of vibration formed ripples around Wang Lin's punch. From afar, these ripples made the area between Wang Lin and the woman look like the water's surface. The two of them met from the two sides of this surface. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. Wang Lin gave it his all and borrowed all the rebound force and collided with the woman's hand. Intense pain filled his body, making him feel as if his body was going to collapse. Blood mist erupted from his body and dyed his clothes bright red. His right arm shattered from the joint and he was knocked back. The rejection force inside his body raged and was already unbearable, but he was still able to suppress it by a sliver. That woman also didn't feel good. Blood started flowing from the corner of her mouth, and she was knocked back several hundred steps. Her body trembled, and the dark moon appeared once more. Even more cracks appeared, and the dark moon spread to her neck. As it spread, the spell displayed its viciousness. The intense pain caused the woman to let out a muffled groan. At this moment, she was completely disfigured and looked like a ghost. The damage from Dark Moon Clear Sky caused the woman to cough out blood and retreat several hundred more feet. She suddenly looked up and stared at Wang Lin. She then waved her right hand and an ancient harp appeared before her. This woman looked at Wang Lin profoundly and touched the ancient harp. The harp music echoed across the world. As the music continued, it formed a heaven-shaking killing intent. The music became even more urgent and entered Wang Lin's mind. making him feel as if invisible ripples were bombarding him. This pushed him back several thousand feet and caused blood to start leaking from his orifices. My harp music is something only the former celestial sovereign could hear. For you to hear it today, you can smile as you die. Listen to my song Buried in the Underworld. The woman's voice was calm, and her hand over then ancient harp moved faster and faster. The harp music filled the world, but it felt like demonic thoughts had filled Wang Lin's mind. The countless demonic thoughts wanted to tear Wang Lin's heart apart. Wang Lin let out a miserable smile as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, but he began to laugh. What a good buried in the underworld. As he laughed, Wang Lin turned around, and there was a flash of bloodlight. The dim blood sword appeared and howled through the air. In an instant, another woman silently walked out behind Wang Lin. The moment she appeared, the blood sword shot toward her. She was not surprised Wang Lin could find her. If he couldn't do this, he wouldn't be worthy of them setting up this plan to kill him. She allowed the blood sword to pierce through her. Her body was an illusion, as if she only existed in Wang Lin's eyes and had no real body. She gently smiled. An ancient expression goes a glance back, and a smile can charm all life. Although she didn't turn around, that smile seemed to make the world light up and was unimaginably beautiful. I haven't heard Big Sister's harp music in a long time. To be able to hear it today is all thanks to you. The blood sword was useless, and was knocked back, circling Wang Lin. Wang Lin had already retreated when he threw out the blood sword. The harp music was filled with killing intent as it filled the world. I really don't want to kill you. The woman that had no real body looked at Wang Lin. She raised her jade-like hand and gently pointed at Wang Lin. I divine with my celestial soul that you will die in 3 breaths. My prediction will come true with my soul as the catalyst. The woman smiled and nodded at Wang Lin. Wishing for the like button for the video. This divination spell was similar to what the All-Seer had, but it was used very differently by this woman. After she spoke, black circles the size of one's fist appeared all over Wang Lin's body. The moment the black circles appeared, they began to fester. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he had a feeling that death was arriving. I predict your body will rot in the first breath. The woman smiled as she looked at Wang Lin. The large amount of black circles all over Wang Lin penetrated deep into his body until his bones could be seen. Even his bones became black and began to shatter. The harp music became even more urgent and fused with the woman's gentle words. It rushed into the festering black wrinkles and tore his body apart. I predict your bones will collapse in the second breath. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body and countless cracks appeared on his blackened bones. The cracks spread until even his skull was suffering the same fate. If his body was transparent, one would clearly see that all the bones in his body were about to collapse as the black cracks spread. Some parts had already shattered. The pain being inflicted here was no less intense than what he felt from the first celestial imperial concubine's 5 burial spell. As Wang Lin retreated, all his life force rapidly dissipated, and he slowly walked toward death. He was already seriously injured, and he could barely suppress the raging rejection force in his body. His 5 internal organs were gone, and now, under the divination spell, he was already near his end. But Wang Lin still hadn't taken out the bow. Although he was dying, he hadn't died yet. The sovereign hadn't appeared, and he didn't believe these 2 celestial imperial concubines were the last ones. Wang Lin knew he only had the power to use the bow once. If that arrow couldn't seriously injure the sovereign and everyone here, then he would really die. He couldn't take out the bow until the last moment. The woman looked at Wang Lin gently, the same way she would look at a lover. Her jade-like hand pointed at Wang Lin as she uttered the last words. I predict the 3rd breath soul death. Her voice was gentle and fused with the harp music. The 2 celestial imperial concubines were using different methods at the same time to kill Wang Lin. Their powers were fused. One part disrupted Wang Lin's mind, and the other used the divination spell to suppress Wang Lin. The 2 complemented each other, making it obvious that this was planned. Just as she spoke the last words, Wang Lin let out a shocking roar. Wang Lin couldn't understand this divination spell, but he could tell that it contained a powerful destructive force. Wang Lin's flesh festered and his bones shattered. Intense pain flooded into him. His body showed signs of collapsing. However, at this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand and hit his forehead. With this, his body rumbled. His body was a fusion of the ancients and celestials after collapsing and reforming many times inside the nether beast. Thanks to the madman's handiwork, his celestial body was now 50% the immortal celestial body. Although not perfect, it already contained the power of immortality. If not for this moment of crisis, Wang Lin wouldn't change. Once he changed, the rejection force inside his body would erupt out of control. During this entire time, although the rejection force raged inside his body, Wang Lin kept it under control. However, when he switched from his ancient body to his celestial body, his control would collapse. Once the rejection force erupted completely, Wang Lin would lose all chance of suppressing it again. It was like a wild horse escaping its reins. It would be impossible to capture it again. However, at this moment, he had no time to think about this. As his soul was about to collapse, his hand landed and golden light shined from his body. This golden light was bright and spread in all directions. Even planet Suzaku in the distance was golden from the light. The man inside the ice had melted the ice and was just walking out with a pale expression. He immediately saw the glaring golden light, and his expression changed once more. As the golden light spread, Wang Lin's ancient god body dissipated and hid inside his ancient god stars. His body emitted endless golden light and became the immortal celestial body. After the immortal celestial body appeared, the expression of the woman that spoke those gentle words changed greatly. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. She came from the same world as the celestial sovereign. When she saw Wang Lin's change, she thought of a legend. When Wang Lin's immortal celestial body appeared, the strange divination spell inside him erupted. Wang Lin's immortal body collapsed. However, just as it collapsed, there was a flash of golden light, and it formed once more. The woman with the gentle expression coughed out illusory blood and retreated a few steps. Her divination spell was destroyed, and her mind was injured. However, none of this could compare to the terror and disbelief she felt. She originally felt that Wang Lin's original appearance seemed familiar and had her suspicions. However, after seeing his body collapse and reform from the golden light, her expression changed completely. Immortal celestial body. The woman was startled and subconsciously retreated. Her eyes were filled with fear. You actually have the immortal celestial body. The immortal celestial body that all celestials worship. You're not a native cultivator from here. Who the hell are you, and what is your relation with the celestial heaven emperor? The woman was shaken by the changes in Wang Lin's body. Her mind rumbled as if countless celestial thunderbolts had exploded within her. I can kill him. His change caused her to feel extreme fear, several times more than when she faced the celestial sovereign. Not only her, but the woman playing the harp also trembled, and her harp stopped. She stared dumbfoundedly at Wang Lin covered in the golden light. Inside the golden light, a storm swept inside Wang Lin's body. This storm was the rejection force that had fully erupted. His body suddenly collapsed under the gazes of the two celestial imperial concubines. After it collapsed, it formed once more. After this repeated several times, the woman that had stopped playing the harp clenched her teeth. At this moment, the dark moon spread even more. If she didn't kill Wang Lin, then not only would this kill her projection, it would even affect her original body. This immortal celestial body is not complete. It was obviously stolen. Kill him! The woman clenched her teeth and grabbed the harp. She pulled the strings and the world rumbled as shocking harp music echoed. As the harp music played, blurry knives appeared before it. She spat out blood and infused the knives with it before making them launch toward Wang Lin. All of this happened in an instant. During one collapse and reformation, Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot from the pain. He let out a roar and his hand formed a seal. Just as the 9 knives closed in, he waved his hand. With this wave, his body collapsed once more. Although his body collapsed, the spell was still used. The world became dark as if shrouded in darkness. Then, in the distance, a sun began to rise. Sundered Night, Wang Lin's first original spell. The world was blurry in this darkness, but it couldn't hide the golden light around Wang Lin's collapsed body. That golden light seemed to fuse with the rising sun and erupted with the power to tear apart the darkness. The power of Sundered Night erupted forth. At this moment, Wang Lin's body reformed once more. He let out a roar and his face became twisted. The intense pain almost made him go mad. He weaved his hand and the water below him rumbled. A giant stone door appeared. When the stone door appeared, the aura of passing time surrounded the area. Wang Lin's second original spell, Flowing Time, appeared. Sundered Night and Flowing Night were extraordinary spells. As Wang Lin's body continued to collapse and reform, these spells contained his celestial energy and became even more powerful. The world rumbled and the darkness was torn by the golden light. 4 of the 9 knives collapsed to Sundered Night. The remaining 5 collided with Flowing Time. In the end, only 3 knives landed on Wang Lin's body, and they collapsed along with his body. The other woman that had made the predictions rapidly retreated while surrounded by Sundered Night and Flowing Time. She was already feeling shock and panic, causing a flaw to appear in her Tao heart. Now she was being hit by these 2 celestial spells, making her cough out blood and rapidly retreat. She already had no intention of fighting anymore. However, just as Wang Lin used these 2 spells and his body collapsed and formed again, a blurry figure walked out from behind him. It was impossible to see if this blurry figure was man or woman, young or old. His body was covered in a vague mist that drifted outwards after he appeared. This old man, one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void Gate. An erratic voice echoed as he raised his hand and slammed down on Wang Lin's back after he just reformed. Wang Lin's body trembled violently, and he coughed out a mouthful of golden blood. His body was thrown toward planet Suzaku and smashed into it. That blurry figure opened his mouth and inhaled the golden blood Wang Lin had coughed out. His eyes were filled with greed as his body turned into a cloud and chased after Wang Lin. Celestial bloodline. No matter what your identity is, this old man will take your immortal body. Wishing for the like button for the video, hoping to double the likes on the video. In the meantime, everyone, throw your spare ones here. When Wang Lin landed on planet Suzaku, a thunderous rumble echoed. Planet Suzaku trembled as Wang Lin slammed into a mountain like a meteor. The mountain collapsed and rocks scattered as Wang Lin landed on the ground. The earth trembled and a crack formed as Wang Lin smashed in deeper. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Wang Lin smashed deep into planet Suzaku while his body collapsed and reformed. He went through the caves of the Tattoo clan. Although this planet Suzaku had been fished out by the Sovereign S fishing in the well, it was still planet Suzaku. Aside from the fact that there were no living things, everything else still existed. The Tattoo clan S cave was still there. As Wang Lin smashed through, he went through the earth and appeared in the 18th layer of the Tattoo clan S cave. Everything here was the same as when he left. One of the walls had collapsed and outside the gap was the foreign battleground. Fishing in the well was extremely strange as it fished out the foreign battleground as well. Although it was only a projection, the endless wandering souls and countless corpses were still there. Wang Lin's body landed in the TH layer with a bang and he coughed out blood once more. His body was covered in a golden light and the pain was enough to make him pass out. However, he clenched his teeth and endured each collapse. One of the 5 masters, Heavenly Master Void Goddess, palm contained a powerful aura. It hit Wang Lin's back, causing his immortal body to show signs of instability. Wang Lin's immortal body was not perfect. As his body continued to reform, Wang Lin struggled to get up. However, just as he got up, a vague, hoarse laughter echoed. Heaven Master Void God appeared outside the hole Wang Lin had made through the ground. His body was completely formed by fog and his eyes were filled with greed. He raised his right hand and reached at Wang Lin. Wang Lin was about to resist, but his body collapsed once more. When he collapsed, Heaven Master Void God's eyes narrowed, and he withdrew his right hand. His fog-like body rushed into the collapsed flesh of Wang Lin. A heaven-given opportunity. It looks like even the heavens themselves want me to take your celestial body. Heaven Master Void God laughed and integrated into Wang Lin's collapsed flesh and blood. Once Wang Lin's immortal body reformed, he let out a miserable scream he hadn't released since the battle began. Wang Lin's reform had a hint of darkness in the golden light. The darkness moved through his body and rushed into his head. A faint laughter echoed in his mind. This body belongs to this old man from now on. It's useless to resist. Enjoy the feeling of being possessed. This feeling is something I fear you will only get to experience once. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. The pain of being possessed made him feel like he had lost everything. As he struggled with the darkness, he lost control of his legs. An instant later, He lost control of his right hand and upper body. He could only move his left hand, but even that gradually became numb. As Heaven Master Void God's divine sense took over his body, his memories began to fragment. This domineering divine sense rushed toward his memory. It wanted to learn his entire life and then erase him. Wang Lin let out painful roar from his mouth, but it grew weaker. His eyes were filled with struggle, but that struggle gradually weakened. His body flew upward outside of his control. With this body, this old man can do as I wish in this world. I just need to finish this final refining, and then even the heaven-defying bead will be mine. The old man's laughter came from Wang Lin's mouth. His expression looked twisted as he flew out of planet Suzaku. However, as he flew into the air, Wang Lin's left hand formed a seal and pointed at the foreign battleground in the TH layer of the Tattoo Clan as home. With this, the countless wandering souls inside the foreign battleground trembled. Wang Lin was once a soul devourer, so he had strong control over these wandering souls. The countless wandering souls inside the projection of the foreign battleground began to rage. As they swept the area, forming a storm, even more wandering souls gathered. A few beings that were also soul devourers were also slowly integrated into the storm. This storm swept across the foreign battleground and tore apart the countless corpses. This caused the wandering souls inside the corpses to join. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the powerful wandering soul storm rushed out of the gap in the 18th allier. This was the first time they had left the foreign battleground. This was the first time they had charged out without that strange law blocking them. Although the sovereign had fished them out with fishing in the well, not even he could not fish out the strange law that sealed the foreign battleground. As a result, this allowed these wandering souls to move without any restrictions. Their excited roar swept across planet Suzaku. This caused planet Suzaku to tremble violently, as if countless evil souls had been released. Planet Suzaku could not bear it anymore, and began to collapse. Heaven Master Void God manipulated Wang Lin's body to fly out. Although he had taken control, he couldn't stop Wang Lin's body from collapsing and reforming. However, his cultivation level was far above Wang Lin's, so he could forcibly suppress the collapse and reform to a smaller scale. This killing is over Heavenly Master Void God's ancient voice came from Wang Lin's mouth. He looked toward the two celestial imperial concubines and the man in white who had walked out of the ice. However, before he finished speaking, the planet Suzaku behind him trembled and suddenly exploded. A thunderous rumble echoed across the world when planet Suzaku was torn apart. A monstrous black storm rushed out from the collapsed planet Suzaku and shrouded this world. The expression of Heavenly Master Void God changed and his pupils shrank as he turned around. However, it was too late to retreat. The wandering soul storm rushed out from planet Suzaku and rushed at him at an unimaginable speed. It was as if there was a voice in his body that was calling out to the wandering souls and the few soul devourers that were charging out of planet Suzaku. It was as if that voice belonged to their king. The black storm instantly shrouded Heaven Master Void God and rushed into his body. If you looked closely, you would see that there were countless wandering souls inside the storm. They all rushed into Wang Lin's body. In an instant, the black storm was gone as all the wandering souls had rushed into Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled and collapsed once more. This collapse spread tens of thousands of feet. With the help of the countless wandering souls and Wang Lin's own strength, a monstrous aura erupted. He was able to force Heaven Master Void God out of his flesh and blood, while releasing reluctant roar. Large amounts of mist spread out as the endless wandering souls raged. This went on until the mist formed back into Heaven Master Void God's body. His eyes were filled with reluctance as he let out a roar and charged forward once more. At the same time, the celestial imperial concubine, almost covered by dark moon, revealed a cold gaze and stepped forward. The man in white also closed in with powerful killing intent. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin's body reformed with the help of the endless wandering souls. Now it wouldn't collapse for a short period of time. His eyes shined brightly as he stared at the incoming Heaven Master Void God. You were all looking for death. Wang Lin's previous experiences had caused him to come infinitely close to death. He could no longer care about the fact that the sovereign still hadn't appeared. After his body reformed, his left hand extended out and golden light gathered in it. Then Bao appeared in his hand. Shortly after, Wang Lin's right hand grabbed the bowstring and pulled back. In an instant, the bow was fully drawn. His body was pulled straight. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes, and they were filled with monstrous killing intent. The moment he pulled, an arrow with a round tip appeared. The body of the arrow had complex runes, and the faint screams of Nanjiao and Tianjiao could be heard from it. Bursts of arrow energy surrounded the area, and an ancient aura spread out. This caused the expression of Heaven Master Void God to change greatly and his body to tremble. Li Guangbao, you actually found this arrow? The Void Goddess' voice was almost twisted. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else and retreated with terror in his eyes. Damn it, I know why that sovereign still hasn't appeared. Sovereign, I'm not done with you! Heaven Master Void God had almost lost his wits. He was too aware of the power of the bow with this arrow. Just thinking about it made his scalp numb. This old man is not getting involved. While retreating, Heaven Master Void God took out a jade, but there was no reaction. The two celestial imperial concubines knew the bow and arrow better than him. The woman surrounded by the dark moon was filled with panic and quickly retreated. The other celestial imperial concubine turned pale and no longer displayed the pride she had before. Before Wang Lin's arrow, she desperately retreated and also crushed the jade, but there was no response. When this bow was drawn, the heavens and earth changed colors. When this arrow appeared, the clouds scattered. Wishing for the like button for the video. Thinking nonsense. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter The Fog Turns to Sea. The inn suddenly became silent. Everyone's eyes were on the green-robed old man. The old man held the young man in his hand and coldly looked at everyone else. Eyes like lightning, these three words came to the minds of the surrounding cultivators. They felt like their entire beings were being seen through and a bucket of cold water was being poured over their heads at the same time. An early-stage core formation cultivator's cup immediately fell to the ground as he quickly lowered his head, his eyes filled with terror. He secretly groaned. This feeling, it should be a nascent soul. The old man withdrew his gaze and loosened his hand. The young man's neck was covered in a black bruise. The old man poured a cup for him, took a drink, and slowly said, "Speak, how did all of this happen?" The young man didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. With his late-stage foundation establishment cultivation, he wasn't able to see through this old man at all. However, with his many years of experience, he knew that this old man was at least a mid-stage core formation or even late-stage core formation cultivator. That person suddenly appeared half a month ago, killed 10 of the fighting evil sect's elders, and for some reason got tagged with the kill order. The young man explained everything he knew in detail. The old man closed his eyes and casually waved his hand. The young man's eyes widened as his entire body was turned into a mist of blood, and then a strange wind came and carried the blood mist away. The cultivators in the inn were all terrified. They wanted to leave, but no one dared to move first. The old man pondered a bit. He opened his eyes as he locked onto the early-stage core formation cultivator and said, "You come over here." The core formation cultivator's body trembled as he quickly stood up and arrived 1 foot away from the old man. With a trembling voice, he respectfully said, "Junior Shumu greets Senior. Whatever Senior needs, please ask. Junior swears on my own golden core that everything I say is true. Just please have mercy." The old man poured a cup of wine. After he drank it, he said, "Since I entered the inn, every time that person was brought up, the spiritual energy in your body went out of control. I guess you must have seen him in person." Shumu took a deep breath. Fear lingered in his eyes as he whispered, "Junior has indeed seen that fiend in person." What is his cultivation level? A mysterious light appeared in the old man's eyes as he asked the question. He wanted to know this the most. This was also why he killed the young man. The young man had said a lot of useless things, but never said what cultivation level that person was at. Early stage core formation. Shumu felt a bit uneasy, so he quickly added, "Senior, the person looks like he is just at the early stage of core formation, but he has 2 treasures. Hearing the words 2 treasures, although the old man's expression remained the same, he became alert. One of them is a flying sword that can teleport. The old man felt a bit disappointed as he poured a cup of wine and drank it. Shumu carefully observed the old man as he nervously said, "There is another one. It is Junior really doesn't understand what it is either. I only see a red light and there is something inside the red light. However, Whoever gets touched by the red light dies and their body gets turned into a skeleton. The old man pondered for a bit, then stood up, dropped a piece of low-quality spirit stone, and grabbed Shu Mu. Both of them instantly traveled more than 1,000 kilometers. The moment he left, all the cultivators in the inn were filled with terror. The three words in everyone's minds were nascent soul cultivator. Under Shu Mu's guidance, the old man teleported to the fighting evil sect in just half an hour. He spread out his powerful divine sense and found Xianxia. To Xianxia's shock, the old man was able to take another drop of his soul essence blood to use the connection between the two drops to track Wang Lin. He then threw Shu Mu down and quickly left. As for Wang Lin, he moved very fast while carrying Li Muwan. The flying sword made an opening through the thick fog of the Sea of Devils. The Sea of Devils is surrounded by fog all year round, but for only 1 month out of every year, the fog turns into water. In all the years that Wang Lin had stayed in the Sea of Devils, due to him being in closed-door cultivation, he hadn't encountered this phenomenon. 1 month after he entered the T8 Valley, the fog turned into sea. This happened every year for the 3 years he had spent there, and now was about to happen again. Li Muwan was different. She had personally experienced it every single year. With the protection of the formation, the seawater couldn't enter the cave, but she could clearly see the deep blue ocean outside, along with some of the rare spirit beasts that would swim by. Close to 4 years of time meant the fog had turned into sea 4 times. Every time, Li Muwan would personally manage the formation and only relax after it was over. The fog was even denser now than when they first arrived in the Sea of Devils. Some parts of the fog had already turned into water. As the two flew higher, the fog got denser and denser until it felt like they were swimming in water. Li Muwan whispered, "It's about to turn into a sea." Wang Lin didn't answer. He suddenly stopped to look behind and started to observe the surrounding fog. He could see that the slowly moving fog was moving faster than before. It was as if it were being pushed forward. Even some of the surrounding creatures were moving in every direction but forward. Li Muwan saw Wang Lin's expression and whispered, "What is it, senior brother?" "Nothing." After Wang Lin finished speaking, he flew forward even faster. He felt very uneasy. From the movement of the fog, it was clear that someone was flying in this direction at a very fast pace. The person chasing from behind had to be a very powerful cultivator. It would be impossible to produce this pushing effect on the fog otherwise. Also, the surrounding creatures were scattering in all directions except for forward. This made Wang Lin even more sure that someone was closing in from behind. In fact, this is very easy to explain. If there is a school of small fish swimming in the water, and then a very fast sword flies through them, they would immediately scatter in all directions but forward. Wang Lin played a lot in the rivers near the village with the other kids when he was a boy. After seeing this happen, he was able to make the connection and detect the abnormality. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he took out the spirit liquid and took a big gulp. The golden core in his body quickly spun as it absorbed the spiritual energy in the liquid, allowing him to release even more spiritual energy. This resulted in his speed increasing. Li Muwan was able to feel Wang Lin's nervousness. She quickly took out some materials and made some simple formations to throw behind them. Wang Lin looked behind him and revealed a look of admiration. Li Muwan felt a sense of sweetness in her heart, but she had used too much energy before, so now felt like she had no strength left. When she saw Wang Lin's speed increase after drinking the spirit liquid, she hesitated a bit before taking out the bottle of spirit liquid that Wang Lin had given her. She drank a few drops and was immediately shocked. She carefully put it away and continued to make those small formations. As the two flew higher, an invisible force eventually appeared. This was the pressure of the sea that was unique to the Sea of Devils. Anyone that tried to leave would have to face this pressure. 70,000 kilometers behind Wang Lin, the old man slapped his bag of holding and took out a green gourd. The gourd immediately grew to 100 times its original size. The old man casually sat on the gourd as it flew forward. Thanks to the gourd, his speed was at least doubled. As Wang Lin moved, he could feel the pushing force of the fog getting stronger. Although some of it was due to his own speed, it was obvious that the person chasing him had increased their speed through some unknown method. The fog in the Sea of Devils had thinned down a lot as water began to appear. If one were to look from above the Sea of Devils, then they would see that the fog was thin enough to see through. Under the moonlight, the Sea of Devils sparkled. It was as if a layer of water had already formed. The water quickly spread as time passed and waves roared as they hit the land. The old man frowned from his seat on the gourd. Before him were well-placed, active formations. Although the formations were weak and he didn't mind them, if he continued to ram into them one by one, they would still hinder him. The old man let out a snort as he waved his hand and slapped the gourd. The seal on the gourd opened up, and a powerful force pushed out. A ripple began to spread out from the mouth of the gourd. All of the formations that the ripples touched were instantly destroyed. Even the fog and seawater were pushed aside, creating a tunnel forward. The old man sat on top of the gourd as he quickly charged into the tunnel. Wang Lin's body had already been soaked by the water. He took another gulp of spirit liquid and quickly charged forward into the descending sea. He hugged Li Muwan and pushed his body forward. His body moved through the water like a fish. Soon, he could see the surface. His eyes became cold as he pointed forward, and the flying sword suddenly disappeared. Then Wang Lin dragged Li Muwan out of the water like a sword piercing the heavens. The moment the two came out of the water, they disappeared in a trail of light. The crystal sword moved in rhythm with the waves, waiting for the right moment to attack. Half an hour later, a large swirl appeared in the sea. The swirl was about 100 meters wide, and it moved in one direction. There was a black tunnel connected to the bottom of the Sea of Devils at the center of the swirl. A green gourd slowly rose from within the tunnel. Wishing for the like button for the VIDEO, hoping to charge through the trending charts for the VIDEO this month. Wang Lin's gaze was as cold as ice as he looked at the four people retreating rapidly, including the man in white, who was extremely arrogant and had frozen the ancient umbrella. Their expressions changed greatly, and they desperately tried to escape. All of them were powerful cultivators with much higher cultivation levels than Wang Lin. However, right now only their projections were here, so their cultivation levels were suppressed to mid-stage spirit void, a level that wouldn't be detected by the inner realm cultivators. However, these four people had forced Wang Lin to face several life and death crises. If Wang Lin hadn't learned the realm-burning umbrella in the fallen land, he would have died to their first combined attack. If Wang Lin hadn't obtained the fortune from the madman, he would have died to the two celestial imperial concubines. Similarly, if he didn't have this bow and arrow, even if he had given it his all, he wouldn't have been able to escape. Staring at the four of them, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. He only had the power to launch this one arrow. Once the arrow was used, he would need to sacrifice life force to use this bow, and he had no life force left to sacrifice. He had prepared this arrow for the sovereign, the strongest person that hadn't appeared yet. He intended to wait until everyone who wanted to kill him had shown up and then use this arrow to end this calamity. However, not everything could go as Wang Lin wished. He was not the heavens, so he couldn't change how others acted or control their thoughts. As the four closed in, Wang Lin knew that if he didn't take out the bow and arrow, he would die before the sovereign arrived. His immortal celestial body was not complete. Although it could help a bit, it had also damaged Wang Lin too much. Wang Lin knew that if he experienced a few more collapses, his soul might truly collapse and he would really die before they could even kill him. The only thing remaining would be an immortal body. What was immortal was his body, not his soul. Kill! Wang Lin loosened his right hand that had pulled the bow into a full moon. His right hand trembled, and the bowstring released a buzz that echoed across the world. All the force from the bowstring was transferred to the arrow. That arrow moved with the bowstring. When the monstrous force from the bowstring passed through, the arrow shot out. The world changed greatly. A deafening howling sound echoed across the world. This arrow was like a ray of death that shot out like crazy. What charged out along with it was Wang Lin's soul, origin soul, and all the power inside his body. His ancient energy, celestial bloodline energy, and anything else. At the moment the arrow flew off, all of these things turned into invisible smoke and were absorbed by this arrow. He only had enough power for one arrow. Wang Lin's body trembled due to the bow and showed signs of collapsing. He retreated hundreds of feet but still couldn't offset the force of drawing the bow. Blood flowed out, and he was knocked into the water in the distance. However, he stared ahead with a grin. He stared at the shocking arrow that had shot out. Once the arrow shot out, a deep gully appeared in the calm water. This gully seemed to match the arrow and extended as the arrow flew forward. It was as if there was a pair of giant hands forcing the water apart. A huge crack even appeared in the sky. The crack continued to spread and seemed like it was going to break this extremely powerful killing formation that was set to kill Wang Lin. The 4 people escaped in terror. Heaven Master Void God was the fastest and was the furthest away. The 2 celestial imperial concubines followed closely after. Their faces showed pain and despair appeared in their eyes. The man in white was lowest in cultivation level and status. He couldn't keep up and fell behind, which resulting in him becoming the person closest to the arrow. The arrow broke through the heavens and earth as it closed in, creating ripples that spread in all directions. A monstrous killing intent came from the arrow, and the runes on the body of the arrow gave off a faint flicker. It was as if at this moment, no person or thing in this world could stop this arrow. In an instant, it closed in on the man in white. The man in white turned deathly pale. He attempted to crush the jade to leave, but although the jade shattered, there was no reaction. At this moment, as the arrow closed in, he felt a sting of pain in his forehead and coughed out blood. He knew he couldn't escape. He let out a roar and turned around to use a spell. However, just as he turned around, the arrow closed in at an unimaginable speed and hit the area between his eyebrows. A thunderous bang rang out and the man in white's head exploded. His body disintegrated layer by layer as the arrow pierced through. His mournful scream disappeared just as it began. This caused the other 3 to tremble and almost lose their minds. The celestial imperial concubine that was covered by the dark moon looked hideous, but there was terror and despair in her eyes. The arrow closed in and pointed at her forehead. This celestial imperial concubine suddenly turned, exposing her twisted expression. She raised her right hand and layers of light screens appeared. However, the arrow penetrated them all and closed in. At this moment of crisis, the celestial imperial concubine coughed out blood and formed a blood person. It began to take shape, but the arrow pierced through as it shot toward the celestial imperial concubine that had reached the limit of despair. All of this happened in an instant. The celestial imperial concubine took out the ancient harp she had played before. This harp was a gift from the celestial sovereign and an extremely powerful treasure. But just as the ancient harp appeared to block for her, it collapsed into countless fragments. The celestial imperial concubine let out a scream and retreated. But she only retreated 2 steps before the arrow pierced through the harp and through her head. The celestial imperial concubine's head exploded like the man in white and her body dissipated. The arrow rushed through as her body dissipated. The shocking arrow had killed 2 people in a row, so it had lost some momentum, but it still had monstrous power. At this moment, it shot toward the 3rd person, the woman who had used the divination spell. The woman had witnessed the death of the man in white and then saw her sister collapse. Her face revealed a miserable expression. Although this body was a projection and a normal death would be fine, dying to this arrow would apply serious injuries to her original body. This arrow didn't belong in this world. This arrow came from her hometown. It was a famous treasure of the Li family. Feeling despair, the woman no longer fled. She turned around to face the arrow that was growing larger and larger until it filled her vision. She closed her eyes. Just as she closed her eyes, the arrow closed in on her forehead. Just as it was about to pierce through, a 7-colored light came from her chest. On her neck was a pendant made of a piece of a black, oval-shaped stone. The 7-colored light came from this stone. The pendant floated before her, and the 7-colored light surrounded her body. Just at this moment, the arrow pierced through the woman's forehead. She didn't open her eyes until after the arrow passed. She didn't receive any injuries, but a crack had appeared on the floating black stone before her. My most beloved concubine, I give this stone to you. It can protect you so that even if one day I am not there, it will still be with you. These soft words from the celestial sovereign echoed in her ears. The arrow pierced through the woman and chased after Heaven Master Void God, who was in fog form. A thunderous rumble echoed across the world when the arrow pierced into the fog. The fog suddenly collapsed. The moment it collapsed, it rapidly condensed into an old man wearing black. His face was pale, and just as he retreated, his body collapsed once more. A miserable scream echoed. In a short period of time, Heaven Master Void God had collapsed several times. When he reformed the last time, the mark between his eyebrows shattered, and the arrow pierced through his body. One of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void God, let out a miserable smile and exploded. Large amounts of fog dissipated without a trace. "Sovereign, this old man has blocked the arrow for you. You have to give this old man an explanation." His mournful roar echoed as he dissipated. The only words that could describe the power of this arrow were heaven shaking. After killing 3 people, there wasn't too much power left in the arrow, but it still howled toward the sky. It was going to attempt to break open the sky and release Wang Lin from his calamity. However, just as the arrow closed in on the sky and the blue light began to flicker, a person silently walked out. This person was wearing a black robe that even covered his face. A powerful pressure spread out from his body. This pressure was far stronger than the mid-stage arcane void cultivation limit allowed in this sealed space. He stretched out his dried-up right hand and grabbed the arrow. His body trembled, and then he slowly raised his head to look at Wang Lin. He spoke in a calm and hoarse voice, the roar from borrowing the power from the ancient tomb, blocking the outer realm cultivators in the first battle in the Cloud Sea. "Wang Lin, we finally meet again. This old man is the sovereign. The video schedule for first is up, and I ask all friends not to be stingy. Remember to share Leo. If you're capable, friends, please be prepared to support Leo with a like." You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the person in the black robe. How could Wang Lin forget this appearance? This person was the sovereign, the leader of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, someone with great cunning who had schemed against heaven and earth. Whether it was killing the previous lord of the sealed realm, the destruction of the 4 celestial realms, scheming against celestial emperor Qing Lin, setting up the tattoo clan to find Li Guang's arrow, the betrayal of Taoist water, Master Simo's fall, the death of the Zhan family ancestor, and various other things all contained the shadow of the sovereign. In the ancient star system, Wang Lin faintly felt like his mind was being manipulated. Thinking about it now, it must have also been an act of the sovereign. In Wang Lin's memory, there was a spell he couldn't erase. It was fishing the moon in the well. He had seen that spell when he faced the 3rd vermilion bird that he suspected to be the sovereign. When he saw the water, he feared that this calamity was also a fishing the moon in the well. What was fished out was planet Suzaku and Wang Lin. Fishing the moon in the well, Wang Lin stood up on the water and calmly looked at the sky. The celestial imperial concubine that hadn't died stood in a daze between the two of them. She retreated a few steps and became silent. The man in the black robe seemed to smile as he said in a hoarse voice, "If it wasn't T for Blue Dream taking pity on you, you would have already become this old man's pawn." He then leisurely squeezed and the arrow trembled and dissipated in his hand. He dreaded the power of this arrow, which was why he had delayed his appearance. He had waited until after Wang Lin used the arrow to reveal himself. This arrow had already formed a connection with the bow in Wang Lin's body. After it dissipated, it reappeared inside Wang Lin through some strange method. If Li Guang hadn't died, this arrow would have returned to Li Guang's body. "Tell me, where did you obtain your celestial bloodline?" After the black-robed man squeezed the arrow, he slowly walked toward Wang Lin. Although his pace was slow, each step he took caused Wang Lin to tremble. It was as if endless pressure was pressing on his body from all directions. What was even more bizarre was that a reflection of the black-robed man had appeared on the water's surface and was walking toward Wang Lin. It looked like there were 2 sovereigns, one in the sky and one on the ground. That pressure suddenly doubled and came from both the sky and the earth. This caused Wang Lin's face turn pale, and he couldn't move his body at all, as if he was being stopped by the stop spell. However, his eyes were calm. Things had already reached this point, and Wang Lin knew that it would be very difficult to survive this calamity. He understood this when he released that arrow. "Not going to speak? It doesn't matter. I'll get my answer from you." The black-robed man shook his head and raised his dried-up right hand. He pointed toward Wang Lin. With this, the blue sky disappeared without a trace and was replaced with golden light. This golden light was sunlight that came from a sun that had suddenly appeared in the sky. The sun appeared suddenly and hung in the sky. The aura of the law of origin spread out. As the sunlight flashed, the sovereign's figure became dark. As he walked forward, halos appeared around him. "Aside from that arrow, you have nothing left to use against me since the beginning. There was light, And this light is one of the essences this old man has comprehended. Law of origin essence under the power of the law of origin. Your ancient and celestial powers will separate. The sovereign's voice was ancient, and all the light in the world formed a pillar of light that shined on Wang Lin. Wang Lin couldn't resist absolute power. Intense pain came from his body as the light surrounded him. The light was as hot as the sun. Wang Lin felt the familiar law of origin as it burned everything inside him, including the wandering souls. This law of origin was extremely deadly to the wandering souls. Miserable screams echoed, and all the wandering souls inside Wang Lin dissipated. Without the wandering souls, Wang Lin's body collapsed under the rejection force and the light. The law of origin forced its way into Wang Lin's flesh and blood. It was going to force Wang Lin's ancient and celestial powers apart. One could faintly see that after Wang Lin's body reformed, the golden light in his body was about to rush out. That feeling of being separated by force was several times more intense than when he fused. Wang Lin's expression became twisted, but he didn't make a sound, he just stared at the sovereign. He was going to remember this, remember everything that had happened to him today. If he had another life, if he didn't die today, then all the pain he had suffered on this day would be paid back 100-fold. He still had one ace he hadn't used. This ace was likely out of his control, but at this moment, Wang Lin didn't care. But he was waiting for the most critical moment, waiting for the sovereign to come closer. Maybe then, this ace might be able to change everything. The black-robed figure didn't seem to have any change in his expression from being stared at by Wang Lin. His right index finger slowly stretched out with the other 4 fingers and formed a palm. As the law of origin caused Wang Lin's ancient and celestial powers to separate, he walked closer and closer to Wang Lin. Then his right hand reached toward Wang Lin. Fishing the moon in the well. As the black-robed man reached out, his reflection on the surface also reached toward Wang Lin. He wanted to reach out to the celestial bloodline that was forcibly being separated from Wang Lin's body. As he moved, a tearing pain came from Wang Lin's body. This pain almost caused him to scream, but he held back. The veins on his face swelled up and his eyes were bloodshot. But he continued to stare at the sovereign. A little closer. Large amounts of golden light spread out from Wang Lin's body and endless golden blood came from his orifices. Also inside Wang Lin's bones, the most important bone marrow that made the blood also squeezed its way out of his body. In a flash, under the intense pain, all the blood inside Wang Lin's body spread out, including the bone marrow. All the fortune the madman had given him erupted from his body. From afar, this scene looked extremely shocking. The golden blood that was spraying from Wang Lin's body took human form, and it was shaped like Wang Lin. It was like a soul. Wang Lin seemed to have been split in half, and the figure made of golden light slowly separated from Wang Lin's body. It floated 7 inches above Wang Lin, and less golden light connecting them remained. When the golden figure flew out, Wang Lin's ancient god stars appeared, but there was no golden light. Even the ancient devil stars in his right eye had lost the golden light. The black-robed man's eyes lit up and he mercilessly reached out. The remaining golden light broke. Wang Lin's celestial bloodline was completely separated from his body. When it was separated, the golden figure moved and then turned into a drop of golden blood. This drop of blood contained the half-complete rune for the immortal celestial body. This drop of blood was refined from the fortune the madman had given Wang Lin. Without the celestial bloodline, there was no rejection force. Wang Lin returned back to the way he was when he met the madman. Popping sounds echoed inside him and he returned to his ancient god body. Immortal celestial body. This is the immortal celestial body. Where did you get it? The black-robed man looked at the drop of golden blood floating above Wang Lin. There was strong excitement in his eyes, but also a strong sense of fear. The sovereign would rarely lose his composure like this. Only this blood could make him like this. He could know everything about Wang Lin, but there was no way for him to know what had happened to Wang Lin inside the nether beast. At this moment, the sovereign stepped forward and his right hand reached out for the drop of golden blood. Just as he did so, there was a monstrous cold gaze in Wang Lin's eyes. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of his ancient blood like an arrow. This opened his storage space, and a black palace flew out. The moment this palace appeared, The world darkened and Wang Lin's ancient blood landed on one of the windows, dyeing it red. With my name as Ancient Wang Lin, I release your seal to give you your freedom and help me kill my enemy. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, he could only open one window and release one of the powerful souls sealed by Yimo. As his voice echoed and the blood fell, the window on the Black Palace trembled. Cracking sounds echoed and it suddenly collapsed. A powerful and excited roar came from the collapsed window. Damn Yi Mo, you sealed his old man, Master Scarlet Soul, for countless years. Today this old man is finally free. With this roar, a red shadow charged out. It was impossible to see the face of the figure, just that it was blood red. A shocking aura appeared with him. The sovereign was too close, so he was hit by the blood shadow when it appeared. He was knocked back several hundred feet, and his hood was knocked off, revealing his appearance. Master Scarlet Soul. The red shadow laughed and didn't even look at the sovereign or Wang Lin. In a flash, he went toward the celestial imperial concubine in the distance. The blood shadow surrounded the celestial imperial concubine as she screamed. Her delicate body melted and was devoured by the blood shadow. The blood shadow laughed and charged at the sky. With a flash of blue light, a giant hole appeared. The blood shadow charged out through the hole. At this moment, in the inner realm on the real planet Suzaku, in Immortal City, the madman was holding an oily chicken leg. Sitting among a group of beggars, he proudly took a bite under the envious gazes of the beggars. He stared at the sky and was in a daze. Damn, he is no longer here. He doesn't care about this king anymore. No, I need to go find him. He can just leave me. Eh? The VIDEO has reached first place in the ranking but still can't maintain the top position. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful. When the blood shadow charged out of the well, a giant hole appeared in the seal. When the hole appeared, the boundless world began to tremble. Large amounts of cracks spread with the hole as the center. From afar, it was a shocking sight. As the cracks appeared in the sky, countless cracks appeared on the water's surface. The entire world trembled violently as if it was going to collapse. A madman came from the sky. Master Scarlet Soul didn't look down at all. After breaking a hole in the sky, he laughed as he left. Little kid, you have the ancient aura on you. This old man should kill you, but since you've released me, this matter evens out. Ha! This old man is finally free. Master Scarlet Soul's voice echoed and no one could stop him from leaving. Even the sovereign had a serious expression as he watched Master Scarlet Soul gradually disappear. Master Scarlet Soul couldn't be controlled, which Wang Lin had expected, but he still felt regret. However, his emergence did resolve the danger of the sovereign reaching out toward the golden blood above Wang Lin. He had also broken open the seal, so Wang Lin could move freely once more. Wang Lin quickly raised his right hand and grabbed the drop of blood above him. This drop of blood was extremely pure and was his celestial bloodline, so it could not be placed in his storage space. He held it in his hand as he charged for the hole in the sky. If I leave this place, I can survive this life and death calamity. Now that a hole has opened, the aura will leak out and all the third step cultivators in the inner realm will notice. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness as he charged at the hole in the sky. The sovereign's law of origin and fishing the moon in the well were used to extract Wang Lin's celestial bloodline. His purpose was to obtain that drop of condensed celestial blood. Although Wang Lin hadn't willingly taken it out, the sovereign had his methods to obtain what he desired. However, because Master Scarlet Soul had rushed out, he was forced back several hundred feet. Although he looked unharmed, his original body had coughed out its second mouthful of blood. The first mouthful of blood came when he grabbed the arrow. After being forced back, he lost the chance to get the blood. As a result, this wasn't a bad thing for Wang Lin. His ancient and celestial bodies hadn't fused, and the rejection force was like a blade hanging above his head. He was in extreme danger as his body was constantly collapsing. However, now his ancient and celestial powers had been separated by the sovereign, which resolved the issue of the rejection force, and the blade hanging above him had disappeared. Things in life were often like this. There were losses but also gains. Wang Lin lost his celestial body and celestial bloodline, but at the same time, his body had turned back into an ancient god. The amazing recovery power immediately kicked in. The 5 organs he had lost began to appear and his injuries rapidly recovered. His origin soul appeared inside his body. Although it was weakened, the intense pain was no longer there. He also felt more relaxed. At the same time, the golden blood condensed from his celestial body was not taken by the sovereign and was in Wang Lin's hand. If he survived, he wouldn't try to integrate it by force. Doing so was simply impossible. The result would only be death, as it was like a powerful toxin. Wang Lin would choose to refine it into a treasure, a celestial body treasure. Then he would integrate this treasure into his body to avoid the problem of the rejection force and still use its power. When Wang Lin was given this fortune by the madman, he had no power to choose and was forced to absorb. If he had to choose, he would not try to fuse ancient and celestial powers with his current cultivation. Even in the madman's world, no one had ever tried it. The result of trying it by force would only be death. However, the life and death calamity the sovereign had brought upon Wang Lin had resolved this issue. A calamity was a calamity, but it could also be great fortune. These thoughts flashed through Wang Lin's mind as he rushed toward the hole. The moment the hole appeared, all the aura inside erupted outwards. The originally hidden world could no longer be hidden once that hole was made. It was instantly felt by the various third-step cultivators in the inner realm. In the Cloud Sea, Master Hongshan was refining the third-step cultivator they had captured in the 7-colored realm in the summoned river. He had just noticed something strange in the soul when he suddenly looked up into the distance. His expression changed greatly. Not good! Master Hongshan didn't hesitate to put the puppet before him away and step forward. Ripples echoed as he used his full speed and disappeared. The moment he disappeared, Master Zhongshuan's teacher also awakened. His pupils shrank, and he quickly fused with the world. In the brilliant void realm, in the rain celestial realm, Qing Lin was in closed-door cultivation healing. He was in a secret room surrounded by mist that gave off a dim glow. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and was shocked. Sovereign! His face sank and his right hand ripped open a rift before him. He disappeared in an instant. Also inside the brilliant void, in the corpse sect, Master South Cloud was concentrating on refining a set of formation flags. These flags would be for the next great war, but as he was refining, he suddenly looked up. His expression changed greatly when he noticed the sealing aura. Then he stepped forward without hesitation. The Summon River third step cultivators also noticed this aura, and they all anxiously moved. In Al Heaven, a person wearing green was silently walking through the stars. He looked ahead with a dim expression as if he was looking for something, but he found no sign of it. This person was Qing Shui. He let out a sigh and was about to look forward when he suddenly looked back. His expression changed, and he stared toward the brilliant void. Wang Lin! After feeling the looming aura in the inner realm, Qing Shui no longer thought about his own matter. Coldness and killing intent filled his eyes as he charged toward the brilliant void. In Summoned River, the young man that had escaped during Wang Lin's divine retribution still couldn't find the place. He had simply decided to hang around the area he suspected. While thinking, his eyes suddenly lit up and he looked toward the brilliant void. Hey! His eyes narrowed and ripples echoed as he disappeared. In the Thunder Celestial Realm, there was a thunderous rumble. The mysterious old Ghost John stepped out and charged toward the brilliant void. Various powerful cultivators noticed it when Master Scarlet's soul broke the seal. They all rushed over from all directions. All of this happened in an instant. Wang Lin was about to step into the hole. Seeing Wang Lin about to leave, the Sovereign's eyes revealed a mysterious light. He wouldn't allow this plan to fail despite the fact that the moment the seal collapsed, everyone in the inner realm would have felt it. Even though old Goshan or the mysterious person that had seriously injured him with a roar before could instantly appear, he still wasn't going to let Wang Lin escape. Blue Dream? Don't forget our agreement. I'll help you get your wife's body back. The Sovereign's voice was calm. At the same time, his dried-up right hand pointed at the sky. After he spoke, a sigh came from the sky. As Wang Lin stepped into the hole in the sky, blue light gathered, forming a light screen blocking Wang Lin. Not only that, but the blue light flashed and knocked Wang Lin back inside. He once said that he wasn't going to attack, but at this moment, he had attacked. When he attacked and blocked Wang Lin from leaving, the relationship between them had been broken clean. There was a complicated look in Wang Lin's eyes. As he was knocked back, the sovereign's right hand pointed at the sky and a red light appeared. Shortly after, orange light appeared, and in the blink of an eye, 7 colored filled the sky. This endless 7-colored light interlaced together, and soon, a giant, 7-colored lance appeared above the sovereign. His dried-up right hand grabbed the 7-colored lance. As he coldly looked at Wang Lin, he threw the lance at him. The 7-colored lance howled through the air, carrying a destructive aura and a power Wang Lin could not resist. This was a lance of death. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful.